What is the world, then?
An illusion, one which we can either submit to, as most do, or transcend.
What is it to transcend?
To recognize nothing is true and everything is permitted.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Podyssey, an Assassin's Creed podcast. Today we have a very special episode in store for you. It is the retrospective analysis episode of the first Assassin's Creed from 2007. My name's the XL. I am co-hosted with Willis Makes Movies, and we will spend the next couple hours just delving deep into Assassin's Creed 1. The good, the bad, the epic, the ugly, if you want to call it that. I don't know. We're gonna get into it, and it's gonna be, a retrospective analysis type episode. The sort of thing you usually see as a video essay. But again, today it's gonna be more podcast oriented. We're gonna talk about it conversationally, and just sort of see where it takes us. So, with that being said, Lewis/Willis Makes Movies. What do you want to say to start with about Assassin's Creed 1, What's your opening, maybe statement, opinion, thoughts? Let us know.
My opening statement?
Yeah.
Well, I guess, we should probably establish early on what are our general thoughts about AC1. I mean, this is, I don't know, we don't talk about AC1 too much on the podcast, I don't feel.
That's why it's perfect today, All our thoughts are going to be brand new for the viewers, in a roundabout way. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really like AC1. I know it has had like a massive cult following since it first came out. Because I think, when it came out, it did have criticisms of being a very repetitive game, a bit lacking in the sort of story, presentation kind of department. But it since became quite, like I say, a bit of a cult classic. And a lot of people now, even gameplay-wise, prefer it to the main, the newer games and more modern titles that we're getting now. And it's funny because in, obviously, preparing for this video, we've both gone back. We've played through Assassin's Creed 1 again. And yeah, I've definitely gotten, like, the impression that we were very harsh on this game when it first came out. And when you actually look at what was there in 2007, it was very far ahead of its time. Yes, it has setbacks, it's potentially limited a bit by the times or sort of the direction that certain aspects went into, but I think in many ways, and this will probably be my big hot take, I guess, but I prefer AC1 to AC2.
Is that just the way it plays, the story? Like, is it everything, or is it just something specific?
I think the gameplay is better, like the open world of Damascus, Acre, and Jerusalem. I think they're all better designed for the parkour, whereas I think, Venice is good, but it is very spaced out. And I think, AC2 is going for a different tone as well. I think what I like the most about AC1 is how seriously it takes its story. I also love the modern day. I felt like AC1 is, like, potentially the best modern day we've had. Maybe outside of like AC3 having actual cinematic set pieces, like storytelling wise, I love the creepy, you're a prisoner trying to unveil the mystery of what's going on here. I just think that whole framework for AC1 is so cool. And you kind of lose something when it shifts to like that Indiana Jones sort of searching for pieces. And I like the tone of it. It takes itself seriously, whereas I think AC2 is going for more of a commercial, sort of crowd-pleasing sort of format. Not to say that it fails at that. It does an excellent job. It's just, in my opinion, I do prefer a bleak, sort of war-torn sort of era, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's valid. You know what? I kind of agree with you, and I'm sure we'll proper, tear into, why that is. And yeah, I kind of agree with you in a lot of points on that. But before we really get into it, why don't we talk about how was AC1 introduced to us? Because, this game is it's either 18 years old or it's nearly 18 years old. I'm going to look that up. It came out, what, 2007? Do you know the month specifically?
2007. I want
gonna
to say
look it up.
November.
Yeah, I think most of them have been, haven't they? It came out in 13th of November 2007. You know,
Yeah.
I was 1 month from being 7 years old at that time. You know, we were introduced by this game many years ago. So, you know, with that said, let me ask you, Lewis, you know, when did AC1 come into your life, and how did it, and how has your view on it changed over the years? You know, and then once we've got that stuff out the way, we'll get into the actual game itself.
Yeah, of course. I was just gonna add in regards to how many years ago it is. We still have both probably played this game many years before we should have.
Yeah, probably.
Considering I'm just staring at the box right now with that 15 rating and thinking, yeah, I was probably about 10 when I played this.
Yeah.
Which is really quite funny. In fact, no, I might have been a little bit older. So obviously it was a long time ago, so I can't remember exactly the order that I played the games in. But I definitely know that I started with Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. And once I played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, loved it, I was so hyped for Assassin's Creed 3. Like, I remember Assassin's Creed 3 was the big one for me.
Yeah.
Like, that's when I first
skipped
properly
over
got
Revelations.
into the loop. Well, I bought Brotherhood when Revelations came out because I wanted to play Brotherhood, because that was the game that I'd seen my friends playing.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have Revelations yet. So when Revelations came out, I was playing Brotherhood, and then I just kind of skipped straight to 3, which does tie in quite nicely, because if I'm right timeline-wise, it was in between Assassin's Creed 3 and 4 when I went back and I played Assassin's Creed. I remember, like, I think I went to game, and I got Assassin's Creed 2 and Revelations to get the full trilogy, and I remember that Assassin's Creed Revelations came with a copy of the original Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
So I've got my original discs here. I don't have Assassin's Creed 1 on the PS3 because I only had it through Revelations. But then I did get an Xbox 360 a few months later. It was a hand-me-down from my cousin, and it only came with Assassin's Creed 1. So I actually replayed the game for a second time within the span of like a year, I would say, in preparation, probably between Black Flag and Unity, I would say.
Oh, wow.
In fact, no, it would have been before Unity. So yeah, potentially before Unity, I gave AC1 a second playthrough.
Oh, second, yeah.
A second one, yeah. So the first one will have been in between 3 and Black Flag, which is interesting because obviously the story in terms of that storyline was all concluded by then.
Yeah.
So I sort of played it definitely like out of order. But I remember specifically like sitting at home and having all 3 of those games. And I played like the first missions of all 3 of them. I didn't play like one at a time. I played through all of them simultaneously.
Wow.
Which is probably the worst way.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I did obviously eventually start to just focus on one. I think I focused on AC2. But I remember definitely preferring AC1 to Revelations when I was playing it.
Interesting. And how old were you at this time?
I would have been 11.
11.
We'll say 11.
Little 11-year-old Lewis playing AC1.
I remember playing AC1 and thinking, wow, this is really simple compared to like the newer games. Like even just, you know, AC3 at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, this is really stripped back, but I kind of like just how I don't have to sort of like, I don't know, like put too much thought into like the variety of missions. I liked knowing what to expect and just chipping away. And this is something that I'll probably get back into later, but I like that AC1 is not a particularly long game.
Yes.
It's quite a simple, like it's probably a 7-8 hour, maybe 10 hours sort of game to finish.
I'd say it's about close to 15 from my experience.
Do you think?
Well, I just played it through, you know, for this episode. I spent exactly 30 days from starting it to finishing it because I got my achievement on Xbox for the tutorial, and I got my achievement for the last assassination. It was 30 days exactly. just from how it felt playing through it, it felt more like 15 hours to me. But I suppose it
15
depends on the
hours.
pace at which you play, you know?
Yeah, and it's not like... I still think it's one of the shorter ones compared to...
Yeah.
I mean, God, Revelations might actually be shorter, which is kind of
Oh,
weird
it is.
to think about.
It is. It's much shorter.
Is it
Yeah,
definitely?
it's about half the length,
Wow.
I would say.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's interesting, yeah. But I definitely remember preferring AC1 and just thinking, like, even though this is really simple, I'm enjoying the gameplay more, and I'm enjoying, like, just how retro it feels, and I love the modern day. The modern day stuff really captured, like, my attention in AC1, because I sort of knew how it ended. And so in a way, I was like, oh, I get to see, like, how it all started and, like, where... And you learn the context of things. And that sort of helped me to appreciate what happens in the later games. And I don't know, I definitely had like a weird sort of, obviously playing 3 games in one go, but I definitely gravitated towards the first Assassin's Creed more.
Yeah, I feel that.
Which is kind of weird. Bit of a weird thought. But yeah, from there, I've replayed it many times.
Yeah.
Basically, I have replayed it a lot.
Years. Yeah. No, me too. I think that's really interesting hearing, you know, how... I guess mismatched you played the earlier games.
I know,
of
and
AC1.
I hate that feeling, you know, because I'm like, oh, I wish I had played it and got the full experience.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's still a unique way of seeing it, I guess.
It is. I mean, my experience was slightly mismatched in a way, because the game, obviously, you know, I remember my dad had the game, you know, back when it came out, and because my dad still plays games, but he used to play games quite a lot when I was younger. Shout out to my dad if he's watching right now. He might be, he might not be. I don't know. He's a big fan of my YouTube, but I don't know if he watches the pod as much. Anyway, he was playing AC1, and I would watch him play it. You know, I'd always go into the I don't know which. It was probably in his old... This is so irrelevant to anyone watching, but I just remember it was this old bedroom that he had this TV to the side of the bed, you know, a proper, like, old TV from 2007, a brick, you know, a silver brick with a screen on the front. And he would play it, and sometimes I'd come in, jump on the bed, you know, watch him play his games, and sometimes he'd let me have a little turn, you know, running around and stuff. So I would run around Masyaf and stuff, like, sometimes, but... I didn't really play AC1, you know. I played it, I didn't really actually play it, if you know what I mean. And then I remember, you know, same thing happened with AC2. You know, I liked Assassin's Creed as an idea as a little kid. Again, I didn't play them, like, properly, but I remember loving the idea, because when AC2 got announced with its CGI trailer, my dad called me up he had a different room then, him and my mum converted the attic into a different room, and he had a computer up there, and he called me up. He said, look at this, what game do you think it is? And I was watching it, and then at the end when Ezio drops down, I go, Assassin's Creed. Like, that's a memory I have. And I did the same with AC2, just ran around a little bit, watched him play. And then it was when Brotherhood came out, when I was about 9 years old, or it came out 2010, so I would be 9 going on 10. That was the first game I actually played from start to finish myself, you know, and learnt the story, realized what's going on, and then after that I went back and played 1 and 2. So I kind of always
interesting then,
yeah, it's one of those. And it's like, so I kind of did start from AC1, but I kind of properly started from Brotherhood, then went back. But then a similar thing to what you said, when you play AC1, then you already have that sort of almost hindsight, if you want to call it that, of like where Desmond will go, but then you get to learn kind of how he got there. And
well, yeah, I mean, I should say, like, even though I didn't play AC1 until like 2 years like after I'd started playing Assassin's Creed, I was still aware of it. Like, kids were talking about it at school. I was very like, my friends knew all of the lore, so they were like telling me about Altair. I was watching YouTube videos. One memory that you've just reminded me of there was, I think it was like year 7. So it would have been just before the Xbox One came out.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's like in that time zone. We were doing the Crusades in history. And I remember my friend, I was like, this is going to be so cringe. He said, he like stood up in front of the class and went like, this is where the first Assassin's Creed game took place, where you play as an assassin. And like, you're expecting him to say historical facts, but he didn't. He just recounted like killing people and talking about the combat and stuff, and like, you get to kill soldiers. And I was like, oh my god, he's not actually like contributing to the lesson at all.
Yeah, your friend, I bet.
Oh yeah. No, at this point I still hadn't played the game, I don't think. So I was a little bit like, I was like, what's this guy on about? I kind of vaguely recognized the name.
Yeah. Nah, it's weird, but that's the thing.
Anyway,
I'm just trying to think of a good way to transition that into to whatever we're going to talk about next. But I guess that was our...
Well, did you finish your story? So from there, have you just continued?
Yeah, it was.
Do you revisit it often?
So what, AC1? I mean,
yeah,
through the years, like I've played it countless times. I probably played it through a good, like more than 10 for sure. It's a game I've always come back to. Like, obviously, I have lots of memories as a kid. You know, I played loads of different games. It's hard to remember what age I was when I have these memories playing games. It's a bit. Do
you remember which one you preferred?
Well, what I will say is I remember obviously probably being up to, you know, Revelations around those years. I just played all the Assassin's Creed games loads because I fell in love with like the storytelling, and not that I really understood it in the way that we're going to delve into today, but you know, I loved the idea of being an assassin, climbing around, and you know, the idea of the assassin fantasy. So again, I would go back and play AC1 loads, I'd play AC2 loads, but I'd play them all, you know, in random orders when I felt like it as a kid, whilst also waiting for the next game. So I've played it loads, you know, I know the game really well. Here's a thing I will like to say actually while it's on my mind now. Having played it throughout the years for my entire life pretty much, you know, I've always seen it in a very similar way, that being a positive way, you know. But very recently, my most recent playthrough, just this month, obviously in preparation for this episode, I just saw the game in such a completely new light. Not that it, you know, I knew what was going to happen. I remembered all of that because, again, I've played it loads. But it was just, I think, having honed my, I guess, Assassin's Creed knowledge and like what I like about Assassin's Creed, you know, and that sort of thing through making YouTube videos about it over these last few years. Because obviously the last time I played AC1 was right at the start of creating the Exile YouTube channel. So I think so much has changed for me in what I like about AC since then, that when playing AC1 now and just seeing a lot of what I really like about Assassin's Creed as an idea, you know, be present in AC1, it was just so good. I just had such a good time. Probably the best time playing AC1 I've had.
Damn.
So yeah, man. That's why I'm so excited to talk about it today. I've got loads of notes on screen. And yeah, I mean, where do you want to sort of take the conversation from here? You know, do we just get into the start of the game, you know, with the narrative? I know we're going to talk about gameplay a bit later. So where should we start? Just with the beginning of the game? You know, how it kicks in, or
let's just get into it. Let's get into it because I feel like we can loop back around to our thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be formal, but also a little informal. You know, the fans, longtime fans, know what we're like, so we can bounce around where we need to while keeping a general flow. All right. Well, I quite was intrigued by what you said about modern day, and I think I was intrigued by it because I relate to it a lot with what you said. You know, it was in some ways, didn't you say? Well, what did you say? It was the best modern day we've had?
Well, yeah. I was just thinking, like, the closest to compete with that is AC3, and I don't think AC3's modern day is, like, well written, really. It's a bit sort of action set pieces and just whatever writing they need to get to that. I mean, the actual lore stuff, like the conversations with Juno, like good, but they're a different kind of good. Like the franchise was in a very different place by then. Yeah. Whereas I don't think any game captures the feeling that AC1's modern day has. Yes. Of like, agreed. It's creepy as shit.
Oh,
you're like
that's
a prisoner.
I've made. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're literally a prisoner. And something I wanted to mention is what I really like about the opening of AC1 is that it doesn't like spend the first few hours setting up the situation. It's not like you play as Desmond as a bartender for the first like few missions and then get kidnapped. It's like it feels almost like a second game. Like you've already jumped straight into, we don't know who this guy is, but he's been kidnapped by a company. You don't know anything about that company. And you're slowly, like, over the course of the game, figuring out what has happened and what the grand scheme of things is. Like, you know, the assassin's trying to break him out. Well, what does that mean? Is he, like, one of them? Or is he totally clueless? And yeah, it's just... And also the extra stuff you can do on the side, like hacking into computers, listening into conversations. I just feel like it's so contained, but in a way where the tone of it's spot on. It really is spot on. I don't think we've had it since.
No, agreed. I think it's got really good world building in the modern day sequences of the game overall. But yeah, no, going back to like the way the game opens, you know, you open inside the Animus for the first time, you know, Desmond going in for the first time. You know, Desmond's freaking out. He's sort of rejecting the memories of his ancestor. It's kind of what's the word? What do they say? Desynchronizing. You know, you're running around and it's all very mysterious. Like, wait, what the fuck is this? And then you can hear these like, what is this? Like these doctors' voices. Like, what's going on? They say pull him out. He comes out, and then you see Desmond for the first time jump up, like freaking out. Like, what is going on? And then you just get this really good introduction. And what I love about it is it's as Desmond is learning, the player is learning as well. It's like you're in the shoes of Desmond. It's almost like a
you're puppeteering him.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. You know, as we go on and he learns through Altair, and he sees Altair from that, I guess, third person perspective, metaphorically, I mean. It's almost like we're seeing that on Desmond and then of course onto Altair as well. And I think again, that world building is so good. You know, you learn what the Animus is as Desmond learns it. You are wondering who these people are as he is you know, also thinking that, because you've got to bear in mind, start of AC1 back in 2007, the player would genuinely be thinking, so what is Abstergo? Who are these guys? They seem really bad. Why have they kidnapped this guy? Why have they got this Animus? What are they looking for? You know, it's only a bit later in the game.
Not just that though, like that. Obviously, in retrospect, we can look back and know Assassin's Creed has a modern day. Yeah. But nowhere in the advertising for the game was there anything about modern day. Like, I remember a specific memory when I first booted up my cousin's 360 and the Ubisoft logo comes on and it glitches. My auntie went, "Oh, shit, is it broken? Is the
Really?
Xbox broken?" And I was like, "Oh, no, it's part of the game. The game isn't..." And I had to like explain that it's actually like a game within a game.
Yeah.
And then it came up with the modern day because everybody was watching me on my new Xbox, and they had no idea what was happening.
Yeah, I bet.
Even I picked up Brotherhood and I didn't know Desmond was in it. I was trying to. I'd only run around on buildings. I wanted to do that, so I had no idea the modern day was a thing.
Yeah.
It is such a great surprise, though. I do think that it adds that extra layer.
It really does.
Keeps the franchise sort of. It gives it not just like one story, but also like an overarching story that ties.
Yeah.
Obviously, this entry and future entries together.
That's the thing, you know. Like going back to the like advertising for AC1 before it came out, I think there may have been a few little hints towards something like that being the case when you would see little glitches. Like I think the beginning of the CGI trailer, it glitches in to start with, doesn't it? On that panning shot of Arca. So like there was hints, but you would have never assumed it to be that. And it's just such a, you know, you're expecting a historical game, but you get a historical game under the lens of a sci-fi game, and it is such a good. It's such an artful choice to make, I think, and I think that's why AC1 is so good. You know, it's the first game of its name. It's not trying to be something like something else. It's just completely new, and it's going for something very unique. And I think that is why AC1 is so great. You know, yeah, sure, we're going to get into why the gameplay can feel repetitive and this and that, but I don't think the point of AC1 was to be a certain way. It was just, we've got this idea and we're just gonna put that idea into an interactive experience in different facets.
I think it's also like it's so against, I mean, obviously like it started as a Prince of Persia spin-off.
Yeah.
But when you look at like even just the front cover, I don't remember which video it was, but I have talked about this in a video. Just even the box art is so anti-2007, where everything was brown and miserable on the front cover, like Gears of War and stuff. And then you just have this bright white box with a guy all dressed in white, and you're like, wait, this shouldn't be an assassin. This doesn't look stealthy. Why is he in white? And like that piques your interest.
It's
and
minimal, isn't it?
But you can tell from the front cover that there's sci-fi aspects, just from the way the crowd is like glitched around him. But if you didn't know that going in, I don't think, like, it's got a good double meaning, that cover, where you could look at it and think it's just the blade in the crowd thing. Yeah. But it also could be the Animus simulation feeling. I think that's what Assassin's Creed has, is it's not just historical, whereas I think a historical game could have it could have been boring. Yeah. Could have bored some people without any fantasy aspects in it, like a Prince of Persia. Whereas the unique selling point of AC was it's sci-fi. That's why it's blue. That's why it's cold looking. Because it's like literally putting history under a different lens. Yeah. And I just, it's just such a unique concept for the time.
Yeah. I think it's also good to point out that as much as we're saying, it was a historical game under the lens of a sci-fi, which, it was that. It was never really a historical game either. It was, they just chose those settings as a backdrop to just explore, this story, this sort of war, if you will, between these two factions and, the nuance between those factions and stuff like that. And I think again there's and how that nuance and how that battle spreads through history and then sort of loops back on itself in a way, with the Animus and stuff. But I guess sort of leaning that into the game itself. All right, can we quickly go back to the Animus thing as again, like Desmond, as we said, start of the game, he wakes up and then you're in this area. A bit later on, you're taken out of the Animus and you can sort of walk your way through the room you're being held in by Abstergo. Now, here's a real small detail that I only noticed this playthrough round. You're in the Animus room and you can hear the hum of the Animus, which is quite ominous in a way. The walls, the aesthetic of the room is very clean, very like there's not in some way there's not much personality to it. In a way that it does feel disorienting. Like I really cannot tell where the hell I am. This does not feel real.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like a modern building. Yeah.
And then you look out the window. Well, I mean, you can't look out the window. It's all sort of fuzzy, and it's like, again, it's really disorienting. Like, I can't even tell where in the whole world I am. Now, here's something I noticed for the first time this playthrough. When you walk towards the window, that sort of hum of the Animus and stuff slightly just fades out, and you can slightly hear like birds tweeting and cars moving of the city if you walk right to the window. And it's almost
like a little hint.
It's a little hint, but in a way I think it's deliberate in a way to like show like you really are trapped. Like you can just hear it just out of sight. You can't get out. And then when you move back away from the window, it just goes back to that ominous humming, and then it's even more eerie. Like shit, I am stuck. Like what the hell? And
that's a really cool detail.
It is, and I love the way when Vidic's just hanging. The guy, for a bit of context, Vidic, the main, I guess, Abstergo employee who's overseeing the task of putting Desmond in the Animus to search for a mysterious object that we're not quite sure what it is at this point. The way he just looks out the window with his coffee and stuff. It's just
it's very casual, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just small touches that make it feel eerie, feel ominous, and then obviously, well, do you have any extra thoughts on that? I know you kind of already said a bit about the Animus, but if you have more thoughts, go for it. If not, we can jump into the whole actual in the Animus aspect.
Yeah. I did like replay the tutorial recently, and I do feel like it chucks a lot at you straight away. That was my thought, is it does spend like the first 10 minutes where you're just sat in the Animus and they kind of just word vomit stuff at you.
That is the worst part about AC1, to be fair.
It's a shame, because yeah, it is like interesting stuff. It's just not particularly like told in an interesting way. But they need
what
to...
do you mean though? Sorry, just to clarify, do you mean the gameplay tutorial, or do you mean the way they're explaining what the animus is?
Yeah, like even the animus bit.
Oh, I like
when he's
that
just
bit.
sitting on the table.
I like
when
that.
they show like the silhouette of a person and stuff. I feel like for a first playthrough it works, but on repeat playthroughs you're sort of like,
yeah, okay, fair enough.
you know, it's a lot of dialogue thrown in one go. But don't get me wrong, like I love the Warren Viddick's conversations with Desmond throughout the game.
Yeah.
I feel like Viddick is like, he could have very easily just been a mustache twirling villain, which he kind of becomes in AC2.
Yeah,
but
he does.
In AC1, like, but he does get like nuanced conversation, and they actually have discussions about why he's doing what he's doing, and like what his viewpoint is and how he thinks it's right. And even though, like, I was just gonna say back when we were talking about just the general story, even though Assassin's Creed 1 could have very easily just been a game where Altair needs to get the MacGuffin, like the Apple of Eden could have just been the whole goal of the game, and it kind of does become like the object that everybody's after, but that's not what like the story inside the Animus is about. And I think even to an extent, it's not what the story outside of the Animus, like both in and out the Animus, they want the Apple of Eden, but that's not really what the story's about.
It's just the driver to tell the story, isn't it?
And they never like talk about it. Like Warren Viddick doesn't come in and go, I really want that apple. I want to control humanity. You need to get me that apple. He comes in and he's like, what do you think about what we're doing? And I'm like, okay. So this guy's like actually like, he's trying to learn the enemy. He's trying to suss him out, because at the end of the day, he needs Desmond to do a job for him.
Yeah.
So he needs to like understand him and get him to want to do it. So he you know, he's a slimy guy in the way that he goes about things, and you can hear like that they're planning on killing him afterwards and stuff. And Desmond learns this like pretty early on.
You can infer,
it's like one of the first
from like the vibes, like, oh yeah.
Well, he listens in, you know, when he like stands up on that vent,
yeah,
and he listens to their conversation. I'm pretty sure they say like, oh, he's totally expendable.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just move straight on to the next one. And even the fact that he's subject 17, like, just the fact that it's a number...
17 subjects already.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that already tells you so much.
Yeah.
Like, just through a name alone, it's like, they could easily just get rid of him. So, it's just all these little things that just make it not just a bog standard story where he's been captured.
Yeah.
Like, it's very well told.
I think...
Yeah.
I was just going to add to your point about Viddick. What I really like about Viddick is I think it could be argued that, oh, Viddick's not, you know, so I'm not saying this myself, but I think some people could probably say, oh, I think Viddick's a bit of a, he doesn't really explore him too much. He's kind of just there. But I think it's almost a bit deliberate. Like, he does feel like just the mouthpiece of Abstergo, because I think what it is he's deliberately written in a way that he is kind of spouting a lot of the, I suppose you could say, like, Templar rhetoric and what they think and what they feel. And he very much feels that way because he is one of them. But I think that almost leads into the, I guess, pack mentality of like the Templars, you know, how they want every single human to think exactly one way and to be controlled in that way. And I think Viddick kind of reflects that in a way, like, that's what he wants, and he kind of almost is part of that already. You know, this pack mentality of what Abstergo are, and they're very clinical, and they're all quite clean, and they don't have too much personality. You know, I think Viddick reflects that a little bit, especially with the exposition between him and Desmond that you later, you know, go through.
Well, he's very calm. That's what I quite like about his delivery. Like,
well, he does get angry if you don't get in the Animus. He goes, "Get in the Animus!"
Yeah. He does, yeah. But he doesn't ever raise his voice when he's talking about his philosophy. It's only like when it comes to his job, which I find quite interesting. It's like, he is so sound of mind about what he's doing, but it's when you don't do what he wants you to do, then he starts to get angry, because at the end of the day, he is on a time limit here. He has like pressure from above. Yeah. And that's the only time where...
There's the whole 2012 thing that they're going to probably have an idea about.
Oh, yeah. Well, they even originally, I think, what is it? The Phoenix Project is referenced even in the first game. Like their plan to launch the Apple into space. That's from the start, that's like established. Well, it's like you can find information about that plan.
Yeah.
So he's just a guy doing a job, but it does make you question whether he's like had to convince himself that he's doing all of this for the right reasons, because he is so far gone. You can tell he's absolutely, he's not willing to listen to reason.
Well,
and
again,
it's such a shame. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep interrupting. I was just gonna say
it's all right. I'm just gonna. I'll ramble for another 2 hours if you don't interrupt.
Well, I was only just going to add to that and say, that's why I think he is that perfect mouthpiece for Abstergo, because he is so far gone and he is so in deep with it. It is his life's work. Not that he is the leader of the Templars, but his position of power. It's got to have been his life's work, and it's got to be something he truly believes in. And that's kind of all you need to know about Vidic. We don't need to know where he grew up or how he became a Templar. That bit, that's almost kind of, I don't know if arbitrary is the right word, but it's just. The point for him is just so much that like this is Abstergo and he is just a good character to not humanize it, because it is so dehumanizing, the ideas of the Abstergo and what they do, but to personify it, I guess.
Well, I think as well, like, especially you can only really look at what's happened later in the series, even to Vidic himself. Like, in Revelations, I think we get, like, a bit of backstory on him with, the Lost Archive DLC.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of that with Subject 16. But he is a character that diminishes very quickly in terms of presence. Like, in AC2, he's barely in it.
Well, yeah.
He's in it for literally the end,
I suppose in a vacuum for AC1, I think he was definitely he served his purpose there,
Yeah, but, like, when you look at how Templars are portrayed later in the series, I do think, especially in terms of the modern day, they lost track of what the actual goal is here. Whereas in AC1, I just felt really confident that, like, this is a guy who has a plan that's, like, that he fully believes, and it's a plan that makes sense, and it's piggybacking off what is happening with the actual Templars in the Animus, to where it doesn't just feel like, let's say, Otto Berg or something, where it's just like, this guy is the head of the Templars, but we don't know anything about him. He just doesn't like assassins.
Yeah.
And that's their whole goal.
Yeah.
And it's different from, like, the philosophical reasoning for everything that they do. Whereas I think as the series goes on, it starts to become just, we're the bad guys.
Well, that's the thing. And, that's why I think, at least for me, that's why I appreciate AC1 so much, because I think it has the most nuance between both sides. Now, before we get into any more, I really, really need to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
I'm like shaking it. I need it so bad. I'll be back in a couple minutes. Oh, no, not a couple minutes. It's not going to take that long. When we get back, what do we want to do? Dive into Altair? How he starts off?
Let's talk about Altair, like how we feel about him, and then we'll go into the story. Yeah.
All right. See you in a minute. Hello. I've returned. Did I flush?
Excellent.
I hope I flushed the toilet. No, I can't. You ever do that where you go, wait, did I flush the toilet?
I do that with, like, locking the front door a lot.
Do you?
I'm like, I haven't locked the front door, and then I go back and I do that all the time.
Do you ever finish a shower and then go, wait, did I wash my armpits? Oh my god. I take that as a no.
I can't say I have.
Wait, did I clean my teeth in the shower? I can't remember.
Did I brush my teeth?
Yeah.
Did I take my toothbrush?
The game starts with a nice little introduction, doesn't it? Altair and Abbas. No, not Abbas. What's his Malak? Malak. That's it. Abbas isn't. You don't see Abbas until, well, anyway. Yeah, Malak and Malak's brother.
He is in the first one, isn't he? He's got a little cameo.
He's got a little, they expand on his character in Revelations. We get a cameo. But anyway.
And in the book. And in Lost Crusade.
Good point. We got Malak and his brother and Altair. They enter a cave of sorts, an excavation area. Immediately, the first thing we see of Altair is he assassinates an innocent man.
Yeah.
That just sets off the bat like who he is at this moment, you know. And you get this conversation between Malak, like, what are you
suddenly
doing?
this American starts talking.
Well, that's a whole other point. I guess when we talk about his character before that, we can get into the whole American voice thing. But
oh, of course.
I mean, you know, that's straight off. He kills an innocent man, and then he basically justifies doing so by misunderstanding the whole "nothing is true, everything is permitted." What would you want to call it? Catchphrase or mantra? You know, of the assassins.
Bit like Mark Alexi Cortier did in his LinkedIn post.
Yeah, good point.
Sorry, that's dated the video.
Yeah, but you know, it starts off by him completely misusing that term, and almost in a way probably kind of knowing he is, but also kind of not. And it just sets up his character as this brash character that gives no fucks and does what he wants and messes up because of it. Now, before we get properly into Altair's character at the start and how he might transition, this and that, I think narratively that's a great setup for the animus aspect of things, you know? Like, his blunders have led to a full frontal attack from the Templars later at Masyaf, an altercation with Robert de Sable, and Robert de Sable in that excavation zone. That's at least what we think is the main antagonist of the game, and it sets up him as a good mouthpiece for the Templars in the historical setting. And then Altair, you know, they have their confrontation. Another thing I will point out is we see the famous Ark of the Covenant just there in this space, and it doesn't really have any, you know, bearing on the game, but it's just there to set up even more mysterious aspects to this game that, you know, at the time the players would be learning for the first time. And it's like, what the hell? There's an Ark of the Covenant, and what I do,
because they're sent to recover it, but you don't know. It could just be anything. Well, we something to
we assume the apple was in there, right? That's where the apple was found.
Oh, it is, yeah. But I mean, like, without knowing where the story is going, it just looks like a basic assassins go and get something, bring it back.
Well, yeah,
kind of
exactly.
Thing to set the story.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it is just a great setup for, again, that more mystery-fied sort of stuff. And then I do like how Altair literally sees this, you know, ancient artifacts of old that's only ever been, you know, theorized and speculated, and he literally says, like, don't believe in such things, you know, this is not, of course it's not the Ark of the Covenant, when it's right there in front of him. And I think that, again, just shows to his character how blind he is to what you might call the truth, and how he will later go to sort of almost have the wall removed from his eyes and stuff. But then obviously from there we get thrown into an animus tutorial.
Is the tutorial before that?
Is it?
Or is it after?
I thought it was after. Maybe it is before. I can't remember. It's around there, right?
It's along the same lines, yeah. Just to comment first on that.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Or do you want to go through the tutorial and then?
No, say whatever you'd want to say about that section, because I did. So yeah, go for it.
I think that is a great opening to the game. It's funny in retrospect because it's like the opening of AC1 is so cinematic. You know, all the cutscenes are like, you know, in-game cutscenes. It's all mocapped, stuff like that. And then the game obviously changes to a more sort of static view, you know, for the most part, which is funny because that's like a trope that the newer games have took on as well. But when you play it in AC1, it's almost like you don't notice it as much. I don't know, there's still like a good consistency there. But it's a good opening. I think it deals with the moral, like, it sets the themes of like the black and white morality. It's like instantly who you thought was the hero has just killed an innocent person straight away.
Yeah. And
he purposefully breaks all three tenets in that opening scene, which is such a great way of establishing what the tenets are, is just by breaking them straight away and then showing the consequences of why we need them about. It's such a easy, simple way of getting across what these guys stand for, what they're about. it's so straightforward. It's like it should be a really complicated thing to get across because they are essentially a cult, but they do really well like portray what's going on because Altair is so in the wrong and the game knows he's in the wrong, so it frames it as if he's being reckless and foolish. And then you meet Robert de Sable and you're like, this guy is just comically evil villain. Like, you look at him, you get it. This guy's the villain, which does such a good job later on because really, him and Altair aren't so different. And, you know, you're already questioning from the start. Like, am I playing as the villain? Because this guy looks like the villain, but I've just killed an innocent person. There's so many, like I say, with the mystery, so many questions already firing off just from those first few scenes. And, and then we get the tutorial.
And I think the tutorial is... I get it's an old game from 2007 and it was more, you know, you'd have more physical tutorials like that in games and we have sort of evolved past that now. But I don't know how maybe it would have felt more natural back then because gamers would be used to it. But playing it now and going back into that long-winded tutorial where I think it does come after that area, you know, because I feel like you do everything. You kind of learn how gameplay works to an extent in that, you know, I guess, short prologue of Altair, and then you're thrown back into the Animus and, you know, in the Animus loading sort of area, the White Room, and then you're forced to, like, gentle push, and you're forced to, like, you know, blend and do a bit of social stuff, and I get that's how you learn it for the first time, but it does feel very pace-breaking in a way, like, it slows you right down to a halt. You're doing all this stuff which you've kind of already done, like, you've already kind of learnt to climb and all that. And it does throw you off, again, looking at it from the lens of almost 2026. And I think, you know, if that's the only major change I'd make to this game, really, is just to... All they could have done is maybe expanded on that intro area and just showed you the basics there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
They could have fit the tutorial into that opening section.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
I guess the only thing there is that Altair is meant to be failing, I guess. Like, the whole theme of that first mission is that he's really doing the wrong things. So it might muddle it a bit by saying, here's the right thing, here's the wrong thing.
Yeah, potentially.
But no, and in their defense, I was going to mention this in the gameplay section, but this game has a very, like, 2007 control scheme, because it's crazy. Obviously, it's very good, but when you first look at how the controls work in the game, like, especially for me playing it, like, it's the same control scheme that's in Brotherhood, basically. So when I played Brotherhood for the first time as a kid, like a 10-year-old, I had no idea. It took me so long to actually get a grasp of how things worked with, like, the high and low profile, which could just be due to Brotherhood not having a tutorial for that. Yeah. Like, it doesn't explain it to you.
Also,
it just
you were, like, quite young.
Yeah. But it is, like, it's a pretty crazy, like, the whole puppeteering system to me is such a, like, 2000s thing, whereas these days, like, control schemes have been refined down to the absolute, like, everybody knows what every button is going to do before they even start playing, because of the way, like, universally games have the same control schemes now. But back then, like, they were doing some weird shit with their control schemes. And I think Assassin's Creed, like, especially in the early entries, the high and low profile system is such a crazy idea. So I think you did need a tutorial to go through how it works.
I agree with you. It's, you know, I do agree partly, but I just think that tutorial could have been done in a way that blended better with the actual game itself.
Yeah.
I mean, it does.
It definitely halts the pacing.
Like, lore-wise and, like, the whole world-building aspect, it kind of works for world-building because you've got this computerized voice telling you what to do and you're in a simulation.
Yeah, I was thinking that. The Animus speaking to you is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's just... I don't know. It's more just pacing.
Done.
Yeah. Well done.
Very good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not Squidward, bro. But
Desmond.
No. Yeah. Oh man. But no, I get your point. But yeah, it's just that one thing I will say while we're talking about pacing is that for the first like hour or two with the whole, that part of it, the tutorial, and then the sort of assault on Masyaf that comes later because of Ezio's fuck, because of Altair's blunders, causing them to then go and attack Masyaf.
Yeah, you see the consequences straight away.
Exactly.
It's like it doesn't even hesitate. It's literally like immediately after.
Exactly.
It's like,
I'm not, all that stuff is great world building, set up for the story as well as the characters. I will say though, I don't know what it was, but the first few hours of that felt quite slow to me, and I was struggling. I think it's because I've done it a million times.
Yeah.
The weight of it was, I can see the weight of it, but also because I've done it so many times, I'm like, get me past this, get me to the cities. Do you know what I mean? But once which we'll get to, but once I got to Damascus, I was fully back all in, and I was like, you know what? No, it is a great game, and I can have a great time with it. It's just for some reason this playthrough, it really put me out of it in this intro. Again, I think it's just because I've played it so many times, but yeah.
It's like, it's linear, but it's very on the rails. Like it's not like you really have much choice in what's happening. And it is a lot of like standing around listening to people talk.
Yeah. I suppose.
I suppose, let's talk about the consequences of that then. So there is an attack on Masyaf. The Templars are just like, right, fuck it, we're gonna invade your whole town.
I mean,
fuck it. What are you playing at?
Yeah, I mean, they attack it because obviously Altair does what he does, and they spare Altair's life, the Templars, in that moment, like Robert to Saab, because obviously they say literally, go back to your master and I'll spare you so you can tell him this and that. Obviously, then their idea is that they're just gonna kill the rest, let Altair go, and that's it. Obviously, later, when Altair returns to Masyaf, says to Al-Mualim that he's failed, and he thinks the others are dead. It's then when Malik turns up and says, no, you didn't fail. I actually got the apple. And then, obviously, the Templars assault Masyaf because he's run off with the apple.
Yeah, because they didn't listen. Because, really, Malik did follow. Like, he did the right thing.
Yeah.
I love Malik. I think even though he's a character that doesn't get loads of screen time, I think his arc with Altair, even like the way it's set up at the beginning, right the way till the end, it's a really good, like, subtle arc where he slowly comes to appreciate Altair after such a massive blunder. Like, he gets his brother killed, really, because he had to...
It's his fault.
He loses his arm. He stops Malik from being able to be an assassin anymore, which is kind of crazy.
He takes a lot away from him. He takes a lot of his life. He takes his brother's whole life away from him. He has every reason to hate him, which he does for, most of the game.
Which is really well contrasted because each of the bureau leaders have a different opinion on Altair, which is a good way of contrasting how people are feeling as the story goes on. But then even by the end, they're all singing the same tune. They all think he's changed for the better, which helps his arc. But we also in this scene get the leap of faith for the first time.
We do.
With a great explanation for it. How did you feel about revisiting that iconic?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Were you expecting Ezio to be on the other one, watching his ghost?
No, but we will get to that in a future retrospective episode. But no, I do. As much as I say that whole part of the game felt slow to me in my millionth replay, I still love all of that because again, the leap of faith is so iconic to Assassin's Creed, and the first time you ever see it. It references sort of the true meaning of... Well, I say the true meaning. I doubt they did leap of faiths in real life, back when there were real assassins, which obviously the assassins in AC1 were based off. But it's to show that they're fearless, right? They are this group of people that will literally risk everything. They do not care, you are not safe because they can literally leap from a rooftop without hesitation. I think it just shows the mentality of the assassins and the way they are structured and how they are as a uniform group. I think the leap of faith shows that perfectly. It also,
but there is an extra layer to that.
yeah,
In terms of like the context of the actual scene, is that you've got Al Mualim, who we know doesn't really believe in what he's saying because of later developments. And we've also got Altair, who's taking this leap of faith, even though he is already sort of, he's broke all of the tenets. He's gone against his faith of sorts. These are two men who have gone against their faith, but they're still putting on
a facade,
front.
I suppose you could
say.
Yeah,
a mirage.
Hey.
Yeah. And I just think that's what makes that scene really interesting, is that even though it's never really commented on, there is like a bit of subtext there that these are two people who are essentially lying in order to save their own backs.
Good point.
You don't really realize that until the end of the game. But on a replay, it's like, damn, this scene means a lot, and at the same time, it means nothing to the people doing it.
That's a very good point. I think it almost touches upon the whole illusionary aspect of things, doesn't it? Because it's like the whole story is revolving around, what is really good, what is really bad. Does anyone even really know? It's very subjective. And I think, that whole leap of faith scene, like what you just said, does touch upon that. Even, whether it was deliberately, where you can infer that, or whether it was kind of just not, I don't know. But it's like, I'm just kind of parroting what you just said. But yeah, it is interesting, I will say, without trying to repeat what you've just said. But yeah, I mean, that whole prologue, if you want to call it, aspect is I just love how the setup is in AC1, from the...
It's very strong. It's a very strong way of establishing all of the things that are going to get milked to death for the next 17 years.
It's simple. It's straightforward. It's to the point. Yeah. But there's a lot of substance there to chew. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot you can think about, and the world building and the characters. Like, it leaves you with a lasting impression that will go on through the game and get touched upon through the game. It sets up the sci-fi elements. It sets up the main, I guess, historical aspect of things, and obviously later we see that parallel one another. I think something we should definitely talk about as we go is the parallel between Altair and Desmond, like their character development. I think that's why the modern day was so good in AC1. I think because it I don't know about perfectly, but it does it in one of the best ways out of all the series, I think, showing the growth of Desmond and Altair almost alongside each other, even though it's separated by, hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's in a simulation. It's just. But anyway, where do you want to go to next? Like, obviously, if we talk about the whole story, we're going to be here for like 10 hours. So
I do want to quickly mention the scene where Altair gets stabbed by Al Mualim.
Yes, that's a very good point.
He metaphorically dies. I just think that that's a good little bookend to that prologue, because it's like Altair messed up. Obviously, he did manage to fend off this invasion, but at the same time, he still has to suffer the consequences of it. He still needs to get the repercussion of his actions, and that is through this metaphorical death, which I'm right in saying is the apple.
Yeah,
he's using the apple, isn't he? Yeah, in that moment. Yeah. But it's never like, you don't really know until the end. But in that moment, it is a bit like, whoa, what just happened there? Wait, did he actually just kill him?
Bro, that scene
and then you come back.
Confused me so much as a kid. I never understood it. I was like, what? Why is he being stabbed in these right?
It's only at the end when he's like, I've been showing you illusions this whole time. Like, I've been trying to manipulate you and stuff. Where you're like, oh, okay, I get it. So, yeah, he was pretending to kill him.
And I think...
Yeah,
I think what I always found interesting about that, though, was like, why... I get why it was why he did it almost, but I also almost don't get why he did it, because it was an illusion, but then what do the people like, there was a load of citizens of Masyaf watching that, and the assassins watching, so like, why did he show that? Because everyone knows Altair's not dead when he's fine. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I get the overall point. I think it was a
stylish thing. It's a very stylized moment, which feels out of place, I think,
I mean, I get the idea.
Maybe if you saw him with the apple or something at one point, that would have maybe.
Well, that might have been too obvious. I mean, we do see when there is one moment later, a little bit later on in the game, when it may be just after Altair assassinates his first target, and he asks a couple questions. Al-Mualim does not like the fact that he's asking questions, and he does wave the apple slowly as he's talking about it to Altair in the hopes that he will almost subdue him. Obviously, it doesn't work, and we find that out later when Altair confronts Al-Mualim for the final time. Where do you want to go from here? Where do you want to go?
Well, obviously, from here, Altair now has to redeem himself, so we kind of get like the norm of what the game is going to be, which is traveling to different cities, assassinating targets,
9 targets,
learning. The 9 targets. You're going to learn about each of your targets through investigation-style missions, different challenges, picking up pieces of intel and information that you can then use to help you in the final assassination to get to your target and kill them. During these events, you will meet informers in the city that will help you. You will meet the bureau leaders that will give their opinion on Altair, and will get some good interactions between Malik again, who reappears. And that's sort of how the formula goes from here. So in a way, we could just talk about particular targets, particular conversations between Al-Mualim. But I think we have sort of been glossing over our main man. So I suppose, what do you think about Mr. Altair, our lead character? Even like I was thinking, even like his design or his aspects of his personality and stuff.
So something I picked up, I guess, or I thought about more with this last playthrough, is that there is a lot to his character, but the way he speaks is very dry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he is very dry. He doesn't show much emotion in many aspects of the way he talks and stuff. He's very much like, okay, brother, I understand. And what do you mean I'm wrong? I am living by the creed. You know what I mean? He's very...
Yeah. Do not question my judgment.
Yeah, like, at least audibly, he's very one note audibly. But obviously, the things he's saying are what has substance. And I do think, obviously, it was deliberate to make him come across so, dry. And I wonder, I'm not really saying it is this or it isn't, I'm kind of just wondering, and I'd like to hear your thoughts as well. Do you think he was made to come across so dry compared to other characters because he is almost that, it's Desmond being in his shoes, right? He's experiencing it, so they kind of tried to reflect that a little bit, obviously with the American accent as well.
I think, you could definitely... I've never really thought about that, to be honest, whether it's like they tried to make him more like Desmond so that you would...
Or more just to make him come across quite different to all the other characters, and maybe drawing back emotion was part of that. I don't know.
Well, we know that the actor did have to put on an American accent.
Yeah.
Because originally he was going to speak with an Arabic accent, and they changed that. But I believe in Bloodlines he actually uses his real voice, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
His real accent. But it was definitely an attempt to like Americanize it. I don't hate like the actual performance because I think initially like when he's given dialogue where he's meant to act naive and bratty and he comes across like a dickhead. Obviously you're meant to think he's a dickhead, but later on when he starts to mature and he starts to have these really interesting conversations, even though he is very like he's delivering everything in the same tone, when the tone matches what he's actually saying, it comes across really well. That said, like, obviously we have to compare him to the Revelations voice, which I just think is so much better.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's interesting because in the context of Altair's life, Assassin's Creed 1 is like barely a speck. Even though that's like his main game, that's his game. It's like maybe a couple of years, whereas Revelation spans like 30 years over the course of a few missions, and you've got like a prequel game and a sequel game with the PSP and DS game, to where it's like AC1 is just like one arc for this man's entire life, but we do get to see his entire life in the like context of things, which does make it stand out more for like his performance, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I think go on. What are you gonna say?
I do wonder sometimes, like, just to myself, do we like Altair because he's like, I mean, I did a whole character study talking about how he is a good character, but like in AC1, did we like him because he was a good character, or did we like him because of his status like in the lore? And like with AC2, we get Altair's armor, and that kind of builds up Altair's legacy. Like, he's a character where I feel like, because he was the first, and also all of the things that he introduced to the series, even retroactively, like the double hidden blades, the hidden guns, stuff like that, like, I feel like he's given importance. Like, the writers gave him importance after AC1 to make him feel more, like, important, like, grandeur in the the grand scheme of things. They made him more important. Whereas in AC1, I feel like he is just meant to be, like, intentionally so, just another member of the Assassins. Like, he's just one of many. Well,
until later he, evolves into a completely new way of thinking. I get what you're saying, though. I mean,
he's a drone, and I think that is a bit of a problem with like how much you can really like this guy across the story, is that the whole point of his character is breaking out of the system that he's used to.
Yeah, I feel,
and like thinking for himself.
I think it's kind of hard to put into words. It's less I'm a big fan of his personality, and it's more I'm a big fan of his journey, and the story surrounding him. I wouldn't say like, oh, Altair has the best personality out of all the assassins. It's like you can't really get much out of his personality, can you? Apart from obviously his view on the Creed, his view on the world, and that sort of thing. Like, you can see a lot of his worldview in the game, but it's hard to really pick out a lot of personality traits that you can in like, for like a character like Ezio, for example. So I would say he's a great character in the way of, again, his journey, how he evolves, and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just it's
interesting.
It's more story.
He goes through a lot.
Yeah, it's more the journey than it is specifically him, if that makes sense. But it is also him. Like, it's hard to explain.
It is interesting. It's a weird one, I think, with Altair, because it's like, he's not like the most charismatic or anything like that. But when I think of Altair, I think of like his committed, he's totally committed to the Creed. He embodies everything that the Creed represents, and it's almost like how you would view a leader as opposed to like your best friend. Like, you just have a lot of respect for him.
Yes, yeah.
And like what he goes through, even though he's not like relatable. I think is probably the difference.
I agree with that. And it's like, that's the difference between like him and Ezio, for example. Ezio is your best friend, isn't he? Do you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I think it's definitely that.
And I love his design. I feel like I have to mention it. His robes are still my favorite in the whole series. I just think the actual silhouette of him as being like a blade in a crowd, but it's somebody who wants to stand out, who wants to be seen, and to like make his message be heard. I just think it's an awesome design. I mean, the bracer, the hidden blade, like, what a cool concept. Just something so simple, but still sort of fits just within the realms of possibility. And it gives him like an iconic weapon. The hood obviously makes him look like an edgelord. So back in 2007, that did the job, and like, easy to cosplay. Just put your hood up and you're the cool guy with a hoodie.
Yeah.
Like, there's some prototype, I think, made hoodies just resemble cool.
Yeah. I think also though, like, what I like about is the assassin outfit, because as much as we see that as Altair's outfit, that was just the uniform, wasn't it? The assassin uniform of the
I love
Levantine
that.
Brotherhood.
They all wear the same stuff, so they all feel like equals. They just have different colours, like some of them have darker hoods, some of them have shorter coattails to symbolise their rank. Like, you can see when you're walking around, you get the hierarchy, you understand that you're, like, the best. But then even the mentor robes have their own, like, you know, they're wearing assassin robes with, like, a big black sort of robe over the top of it, and it's like, it's just subtle because it's never brought up upon, like, who is what rank. You can just tell from the way everybody's dressed.
Yes.
Like, the hierarchy of it. It's a very well thought out sort of structure, I think, of the actual Brotherhood.
Yeah, and I like how Altair looks exactly the same as a lot of the other assassins, because it's like, you know, it starts off with him trying to be, you know, whatever, but he is still very much part of this uniform, and he's, again, it's a very rule, it's a creed bound, or a Brotherhood bound by rules that he is breaking, but again, he is wearing the outfit that is very uniform. I think what I'm trying to say is, I like how Al-Mualim does not have that look, because again, he is the one in control, right? He is, or at least he's trying to be. He is the one that's trying to guide this whole Brotherhood, misdirect them, I suppose. I also like how, you know, the Levantine robes are made to look like monk robes, because then they can blend in. Obviously, gameplay wise, they can blend with monks, but obviously, you know, lore-wise, it's because they want to instill fear in the enemy, and religion was a very big part of, like, the land at the time, as well as a lot of the Templars being religious. I said this in one of my earlier videos from a couple weeks ago. I was like, it's interesting that they chose to model, the assassins themselves chose to model themselves after monks, because it almost, in a way, does it make the Templar enemy, if they are Christian or whatever, question their own faith? You know, their enemy is literally dressed like in a way that they
would also sort of perceive themselves.
Yeah, I suppose so. And you see that explored more with Sabrand, I believe it is, in Arca, one of the last targets. You know, he is very paranoid that the assassin, whoever, they don't even know it's Altair. They just know the assassin is coming for them. For all they know, it could be multiple people coming for these targets. And he is just so paranoid. You know, he literally kills an innocent monk because he thinks it's the assassin. I think that just amplifies why they chose to look the way they do. And I think it just does a lot for, like, the aesthetics of it.
That's a great target as well. That's just a great...
It is.
It's one of the better ones, especially at that point in the game where you have worked your way through a majority of them.
It just shows...
To have a guy who's just paranoid, it's like, great. You know, that's just a good character that you should have in there.
Yeah, and he's literally cordoned off, like, a whole part of the, like, harbour area of the city, because he's trying to control who goes in and out, because he is that terrified. And
he knows that Altair can't swim. So from a gameplay perspective... it makes it more difficult to get to him.
Yeah. I'm just having a quick read through my notes to see what we've talked about, what we haven't. What have I written here? Well, where do we want to take things next? Obviously, I feel like we've got a few more, like, story things to talk about, really, haven't we? Like,
well, I'd like to go through targets, I guess. Should we just go through, like, favorite targets, favorite conversations and stuff?
Sure.
And then we can...
Yeah, why not?
Or any other notes that you have.
Yeah, why don't you tell me about your, I guess, a target that stands out to you and why?
Sibrand is a good one, but it might be cheating a bit, but I just like the structure of the game, the way that once you take out the first few targets, it's then like their underlings that take over. So then you get like this whole middle chapter of the game where even though like the format is the same, you're still doing investigations, you can tell that the city is going to shit. And like the guys that have taken over from the guys you killed are not doing a good job. And they're all after it for different reasons. They're all trying to put their own ideology onto the city. And they are people that have never had the chance to speak. So now that they're in charge, they don't know what to do with it. And I just like that middle three shows the different aspects of it.
Yeah.
And you get like the money hungry people, the people trying to instill their own ideologies onto people. And it's just leading to like chaos. And I just love the way that the city also evolves over time with the way that you're dealing with these targets. And obviously Altair himself is then questioning like, wait, am I actually doing the right thing here? Because the people I'm killing are just leading to like idiots without a plan, or like a really stupid plan, taking over.
Yeah. Well, I think...
I mean, like... Yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say, I think, I do really appreciate the evolution between target to target, as, Altair starts off very much confident in that he's getting the bad guys, but then every single interaction Altair has with each target just pushes him a little bit more to like question what he's doing. He brings that to Al-Mualim. They have a back and forth on philosophy, on like what they're doing is right. And obviously Al-Mualim is manipulating the situation, trying to steer Altair towards like less free thinking. He's trying to keep him at bay, like no, this is right because these guys are doing this, doing that, this and that. And I just like how he starts off very confident, sort of second three targets he sort of kicks his confidence a bit, and then the third three targets he's very much like, what is going on here? Like he's
straight up asking them, isn't he? He
wants to know
what is actually going on here. Yeah.
He's like, he knows something's up, and he's questioning whether he is on the right side, like genuinely asking that question. He brings it up to couple of the Rafiqs in the bureaus, like they say like, oh well, Al-Mualim knows all, we shouldn't question him. But then Altair's like, but does he know all? Are we on the right side? Why did I kill this guy when what his goals, what he was doing was actually, you could call noble. One case in point being the whole Garnier assassination, which blends with I believe it's not Sibrand, we just talked about him, didn't we? Blends in with the slaver dude. What was his name? Talal? Yeah, that's it. Talal.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite sections, the first three targets really. Garnier being a doctor of sorts in Arca. He is he's supposedly on the surface, he is torturing random people. Talal is taking slaves, delivering people he's stolen off the street to Garnier, and then Garnier's like putting all these torturous acts towards these people. On the surface, that is a very evil thing to do, and of course he needs to be taken out for it so the people can be free. But then you later find out that actually what he's doing, and what he was originally using the Apple of Eden for before it was taken, was to alter the minds of these. I think he called them in the game, he called them broken people or something, but it's like people with like mental health issues, or people with like special needs and stuff, stuff like that. People that basically, what he said, would not really fit in well with society. He's taking them, using the Apple of Eden, but obviously again when that's taken, he starts using like medicinal things that mimic the effects that the Apple of Eden had, to like alter their minds, to make them be able to fit in more with society and get job, and work for him and actually have a more fulfilling life. And when Altair finds this out, he's like, oh shit, what am I doing here? Why is Al-Mualim told me to take out this guy? Doesn't make sense, you know what I mean? And then gameplay wise later, or I suppose you could say more to do with world building, you go back out on the streets after that assassination, and there are way more people, the people that you told me earlier
like
off camera.
Patients.
You thought off camera, you said to me, you thought it was drunk people.
Yeah.
The guys with their arms up and they go, and they push you.
They hit you,
Yeah, like
you.
that's that's meant to be, or at least you can, I suppose, infer that that's supposed to be a lot of the patients that were let back out on the streets once Garnier was taken out, that now are, in poverty, because they're wearing rags, as you can see. They're kind of just there, and could they have had a much better life? Potentially, it's not more they would have, it's more of the question, well, maybe, who's to say? And should I really have taken him out? Was I in the right to do that, or should I not have? Should I have let this sort of fate take its course of action instead? That's what I like about the assassinations in AC1. It isn't black and white, there's
a good like second meaning to all of them. Like you could easily see that opening scene with Garnier where the patient runs out into the crowd and starts screaming like, "Oh, they're gonna kill me, they're gonna kill me," and then gets dragged back in. Like, they break his legs, don't they?
They do, and it shows it. It's quite shocking to start with.
It's a graphic game. Like, even the first target, I think Tamiya kills. He just stabs that guy in the middle of the pond.
Yeah, very
and leaves his body.
Gory, isn't it? The river fills with blood, or the fountain.
Yeah. It's like, but it feels appropriate, especially for the time period. You know, it is a brutal time period, and it gets across, like, I think it really well tricks you as well into thinking they are just evil people, and like, look at how awful they are to these people.
That's the thing. It's like, again, you know, Altair is very much blinded from the truth. And of course, he's going to see them as evil to start with, because, you know, that's what he already believes. And, you know, there's always that bias to what the cognitive bias, right? If you believe a certain thing to be a certain way, things you see, even if they're not that, will come across that way to you, because that's your, like, foundation of belief about the world. And again, Desmond's going to see that through the eyes of Altair, and he's also learning at the same time. And then us as the player, of course, when they break the legs, it's deliberately, I suppose, shocking and a little bit gory to make you think, oh my god, they're awful. But then you sort of peel the layers back when you speak to the targets and you learn more, and you think, I mean, obviously, myself personally, I do think the way the Templars were going about all of this stuff is not the right way to do it, because they're all about
you still shouldn't be breaking a guy's legs.
It's a dictatorial sort of belief system they have. Exactly. Yeah, don't break the legs.
Yeah.
There's a better way to do it.
I think it's more like you understand why they're doing it, as opposed to, like, sympathizing with it, I guess.
Behind it.
Like, he did have good intentions, but clearly, since he lost the apple, like, the dude just couldn't do it, and we know he wouldn't have been able to, like, replicate the effects. Mm-hmm. So it does make his actions seem less defensible.
That's a good point.
But it's like, in his eyes, I fully understand why he's seen the potential of what can happen. So now he believes everything, you know. It does, like, a thing like the Apple of Eden would make you question everything, you know. It really does.
Definitely. And I think when, you know, accessing this technology that they've got, which they probably don't even quite understand if it's magical or it's technology or it's what, you know. It's easy for Desmond in, you know, an Abstergo to say, oh, it's technology, because, you know, computers and stuff like that are around. But back then they didn't have technology, so they probably think it's quite a magical device, right? And of course, you know, you see a magical device that you can use to control people's minds and stuff, you might start to think maybe it's okay to do that.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. And it's interesting because the way the apple is woven into the story, like I say, it doesn't just feel like we need to get the thing by the end of the game. Like, we need to get the apple, because you've already got it. The story is more so like how this thing even existing affects the characters. And that's what I think it is, like a character study on each target, because they are all affected in a different way by the things that you're doing, the existence of the apple, and it's really well woven in to the point where it doesn't feel like this ancient piece of technology that controls minds is, like, stupid. It doesn't feel like a stupid concept. It feels like the whole game is a commentary on, like, what if it existed? Like, let's actually go into how people would feel, how they would change the way they believe and act, and whether ultimately that could still be a morally good or bad thing that they do with that information.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is, to your point, you know, that's the thing with AC1. It's not an apple of Eden for the sake of having a crazy, you know, magical aspect to the game.
Just thinking of the end of Unity.
Yeah.
Random sword.
Exactly. It's the apple of Eden in AC1 is a narrative device to push that story forward, or to, you know, to tell that story, to ask these questions and to explore these characters. It's there to push things along. And like, it's like what we said at the beginning of this sort of episode. We said, like, you know, you've got we need to find the apple, you know, at being Abstergo, and we need to get this subject, you know, this person we've kidnapped supposedly and thrown into the animals. We're doing this because we need this. Well, we need another device, don't we? Because we find out later that the apple we see in AC1 was actually destroyed in a whole crazy event that happened in Denver airport, which we don't learn too much about in AC1. It's more you pick up a few pieces. You're told a little bit by Lucy. Obviously, we haven't talked about Lucy, but she is someone who's more sympathetic. She's sort of she represents more that angel on your shoulder almost. I don't know.
I was thinking that she's like the only hope that Desmond has.
Yeah.
Which helps a lot. Obviously, with the whole finger reveal later that's terrible wording. That she's missing a finger like the assassin, so she is.
Yeah, and he goes, "Oh my god, wait, you're what?" And she's like,
"Wait, what, Lucy?
Yeah.
What?"
She goes, you're one of them," or something like that, and she's like,
I think that comes immediately after the assassins try and break Desmond out.
It
as
is,
well.
yeah.
That failed attempt, and she's like, "There's still
hope."
Yeah,
she says. He goes like, "It's hopeless, I've just lost my chance, my one chance of getting out of here."
Yeah,
and if Sergo won't tell me anything, and she goes, "There's always hope," and then she sort of raises the it. That's the one time in the Animus section of Desmond where you're not just in these weird camera angles where it looks like you're being monitored. A lot of the cutscenes, if you want to call them, in modern day are almost as if it's showing from CCTV footage. You can flick between, and then obviously when you're playing as Desmond, you are just fixed behind his character in third person. When she raises her finger, it goes close up as a camera angle towards that.
That's the first actual POV shot from Desmond's perspective. Damn,
in a way,
yeah, I suppose I never even thought of that. Yeah, I do like the way that whole modern day is framed with the CCTV cameras swapping angles.
Well, it adds.
I guess we'll talk about it more in the gameplay part.
Yeah,
actually,
okay.
It's also in the Animus, but
well, I mean, talking about those aspects of things might be a good transition to gameplay from narrative, because yes, they are part of in the game, but they're also very narrative focused. You have these almost CCTV-like camera angles when you're in quote-unquote cutscenes in modern day, because it's adding to that whole you're being monitored, you're always being watched. Literally a line Vidic says is, you remember when Desmond wakes up and Vidic's looking over him and he goes he says waking up, he's kind of creepy, Doc, waking up to you.
Wake up, Mr. Miles.
Yeah, waking up to you, watching over me. And then he goes, we're always watching you, Desmond, or we're always watching you, Mr. Miles.
Yeah.
Now get up. It's just, again, there's that whole camera angles. Yes, they're always watching that whole Big Brother aspect, which Abstergo are supposedly, a draw from that character trait, I suppose. It
makes it creepy as well. It adds to that creepy factor. It
does.
You're watching him. You're just as much watching him as Abstergo are.
And that's why I love the way cutscenes are portrayed, even in the Animus, because again, you're always just usually behind Altair unless a glitch occurs and you press a button, then it goes to more of a cutscene. And again, it's because
it's weird. It's like they're not meant to happen.
Well, that's the thing. But I think it's deliberately done in that way where there are no proper cinematic cutscenes, because again, it is just reflecting that point that you're in the Animus, you're being almost watched rather than being in the movie. Almost you're being watched rather. You're on those weird, almost uncomfortable camera angles, and you get the same camera angles that Desmond gets in Abstergo when you're talking to Al-Mualim, and I think that's deliberate as well, because it's I don't know how to really word it, but
I think Al-Mualim and Vidic are definitely meant to be a parallel.
There you go, exactly. Similar camera angles when talking in both ways. And I think anyway, I don't want to ramble, so I'll stop what I was saying about that there. But yeah.
Did you know that the game takes place over 3 months?
I don't know. Did you pick that up from reading emails?
I've picked that up right now by reading the booklet for the Xbox 360 version.
Does it say that?
Because you know how the booklet has little notes from Vidic?
I might have a look. I think I know.
Well, it's actually on the first page. It says ancestor for this treatment is Altair.
I haven't got
age 25, height 6 foot, and then it says months for study, July through till September.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Good little bit of lore here. Back when booklets had. I was just thinking, like, if there was any fun facts in here that could be worth
I mean,
bringing up.
I know that obviously this is something I really find interesting, is that I don't know if we knew, like, I don't know if people knew back in 2007 that the modern day of AC1 was set in the future. It was set in 2012, wasn't it?
Yeah, an interesting
So
decision.
it wasn't actually modern day, it was future.
I wonder if that is why Abstergo looks a little bit futuristic.
Maybe.
It's because they were trying to, like, say in 5 years' time it's going to look like this.
I don't know. You could argue that. I don't know. It's hard to really...
It is really funny when you get out of that, like in AC3, when you go back to Abstergo and you get that scene in the Animus room where you get, you play as Desmond, and then you go out of that room again, and it's like, everything outside this room just looks so boring compared to like how high-tech the Animus room looks.
Yeah, no, that is true. And that's why I think...
It's just...
No, go on.
No, I was just gonna say it's funny. It's just funny. Yeah. It's like the rest of the walls are so boring, and it's like you're right outside the main room with like the millions of Animuses all along the floor.
Yeah,
they're all playing Brotherhood multiplayer, and we're stuck in AC1.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? But I think that's why one room works so well in AC1, and I'm trying not to like.
Well, you get like that little key card as well to like go through to the other room.
Yes.
And it's like you get these little hints that like, oh, there could be a little bit more to discover there. You never know when you've actually found everything.
Yeah.
I feel like we should also talk about the ending section because that'll lead into modern day implications and stuff. So Altair goes through this journey. He, discovers that, surprise, spoiler alert, Al-Mualim was the 10th man. What?
When you say the 10th man, can you explain to the viewers, in case they don't know, the 10th man of who? Like, how was he the 10th man? Like, what?
Well, he's controlling the assassins and Templars behind the scenes.
Yes. Because...
you're going to have to fact check me on this one, because I remember being a little bit confused as to what his actual plan is. I think it's just to use the apple. I think it's... I think the Templar... there are more... The Templars as a sect of people, there's a lot more of them, but it was 9 individual Templars, right? That were almost a evolution of the main group of Templars. The Al-Mualim, it doesn't really explain how he came into contact with them or like how it happened. It doesn't really explain, does it? It just kind of, you just know that he was. Robert just says, there is a 10th man. It's your master.
Yeah.
Al-Mualim.
Yeah. But he basically ends up becoming very similar to the Templars in what he wants, because yes, he wants the Templars and the Assassins both want peace. It's just the Assassins and Templars go about it in different ways. Where even the Assassins, that Altair is part of before Altair reforms it later on in the series, they still understand that to strive for peace, people must not be controlled and they must be able to reach that conclusion themselves, because that's what true peace is, when you can understand what peace really means, this and that. Where the Templars are like, no, people will never understand it and you can't trust them to, so we need to push them in that direction ourselves, and that's the only way.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because I was just thinking, like, it's only really Assassin's Creed 3 that maintains that kind of perspective, I think.
Yeah, I guess.
The Templars are.
I guess so. But so I suppose Al-Mualim really kind of does end up becoming a Templar in mentality, because yes, he still controls the Assassins, and he would very easily brainwash all of them and convert them into another version of the Templars, really, wouldn't he? Yes, he might not agree with a lot of his targets, hence why he had them taken out, but his mentality very much shifts towards, he loses faith in the whole idea of the Creed. He loses faith that it's even an achievable thing, and then when he gets access to the apple, he's like, this is the only way, basically becoming a Templar.
But didn't Robert's plan, wasn't that to unite people against the Assassins? he'd like caught on what was going to happen.
Yeah, I think he did. He wanted the
it.
assassins destroyed because he knew Al Mualim was a threat, and he knew he'd have them killed. And then he knew that the whole assassins, if brainwashed, would become a massive army that Robert would have to deal with, and
So I guess it is just Al Mualim taking pieces off the board of people who had enough like free will to stand against him.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Because I don't think he was fully aligned with the Templars and their way of going about it. Like, he would do a similar thing. I just don't think he wanted to have to deal with their slight discrepancies and how they felt. And he thought, no, you know what? It is the assassins. He almost applied his own skewed version of logic that is more like a Templar onto the assassins. And he was like, right, I'm going to take over. I'm going to get them all out of the picture. I'm going to then brainwash everyone. And we're going to have my own version of assassin peace, even though it's not anything it's completely far removed from what assassins do think.
Yeah, I suppose there is like a parallel between Al Mualim like not really he doesn't really align with either side, I guess, because he betrays both of them. Like, he doesn't have any actual beliefs of his own. But then also that kind of correlates with the apple, like not really doing anything. It just creates like illusions of things happening.
Well, that's the thing.
Because I'm thinking like Al Mualim puts his faith in the apple. That's the
thing. He's put his faith in an illusion as well, but he just can't see it because he ends up becoming the blind one. The roles almost get reversed. He ends up becoming the blind one. Altair becomes the more enlightened one because he knows he sees past the illusion. He literally sees past an illusion Altair Al Mualim puts to him, but metaphorically as well. He sees past the illusion that this is the way to go about peace. He realizes that no, it's not. It is, and more what the assassins, the original mentality of the assassins, which he then evolves past a little bit.
It's just a good game. Like, the fact that we're even talking about things like this, that just
there you go,
are not present later in the series.
Yeah,
it's a really, there's so many levels to the way that the actual story is written.
That's the thing. It sparks these questions that I just don't think a lot of later games do. Like, I love AC2, I love Brotherhood, but those games do not spark the same type of conversation that AC1 did.
I was thinking that. I was even thinking, like, how is the apple portrayed in AC2? And it's more like, I feel like they were more focused on Rodrigo fixating on his destiny and, thinking of all the things he could personally. I guess he was, like, again, a very selfish character, but they don't really carry that across to all of the targets. And definitely, like, as the series goes on, it can't maintain that sort of tight structure that AC1 had. It does slip and, tries to reintroduce some of the ideas, but it is something that I think only AC1 was able to fully, like, the full vision is there.
Yeah. Well,
whereas I really can't say it's been there since, which is kind of crazy. How many entries
crazy.
We've had.
And I think that's just the way of things, though, isn't it? It's the same with a lot of series. Like, a lot of people always say, oh, the first movie of the series was the best, or this and that. It's because there's no preconceived notions. There's no, I must do this, I must do that because the other one did. It's more, right, what story are we going to tell? Let's do it. And then you've got the free reign to do whatever. You get more restricted as you go on in a series because you've already tread certain grounds and you've already established this type of world. So you kind of have to, I say stick to that. Assassin's Creed has not stuck to that. But
no, but it did at least do the smart thing, which was not try and just retread the same ground over and over. It did. I mean, it does in some cases, but like Assassin's Creed 2 just didn't try and redo AC1. It went in a totally different direction. It became more focused on character and making the more cinematic, I would say. It feels more like you're watching a movie. With more witty dialogue, a bit more comedy, a lighter tone,
more mass appeal,
especially with Desmond. Yeah, and that's not to say that it's worse in any way than AC1. It's just it is going for a very different tone. Yeah. So when we say like it's never been the same since, it's just because I think the later games naturally had to give themselves more to appeal to, like different appeals different time periods sort of do lend themselves to different kinds of stories. So it's
Yeah.
not to say that like later entries are. I mean, some entries are obviously better than AC1, but it's just the case that I just think that the levels that they were playing with here is
Yeah.
crazy.
I think later games don't have as much like intricacy to the story being told, but they do more, and that the other stuff they do, I think is really good. I mean, I'm not trying to say too much about like later games because I know we're going to get to those in other episodes, but like just as a pointer, as a bit of context, like Assassin's Creed 2, like you said, it is more cinematic. It focuses more inwards on the character of Ezio and like what his journey is. His personal journey, really, isn't it? It's just it happens that it is very much woven into him being an assassin. It focuses less on the philosophy between the assassins and Templars and more on Ezio and what he thinks and what he does. And again, I would say it was never as intricate of a story past AC1, but that doesn't mean it was bad at all. It just means it's different,
Yeah, like I think the way I would word it is AC1 makes you think about things, whereas AC2 makes you feel things.
Yeah, I see that.
It's just a different. It's like a Christopher Nolan movie compared to like, I don't know, a comedy. It's like
or even
Nolan
like
films
even like
lack
Christopher,
emotion.
Maybe like a Christopher Nolan movie compared to a Tarantino movie or something.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Like they're very different games. And that's not to say that one is better than the other. It's just very different style that I don't think any Assassin's Creed game since has tried. Well, maybe tried, but never like
did it a bit more.
Yeah.
Do you not think?
It's a middle ground. It's a middle ground because you've
is.
still got the Ezio stuff. I'd say the Altair stuff tries to make it more emotional and make it more of a drama sort of thing, as opposed to factual or sort of philosophical speak.
Well, what I mean is like not just that you can play as Altair and stuff again, but more like it touches more on the philosophy of the Creed and way Ezio when he's writing his sort of letters to Claudia between sequences. He is literally questioning what he thinks, questioning the Creed and the Templars. Like there is that more bringing back the philosophy that AC1 had. Look at his conversation. I know this is literally talking about Revelations now, but like look at his conversation with Sophia at the end of the game, where she asks about the Brotherhood and he's explaining, nothing's true, everything's permitted, and how he used to think it was a certain way, but now he's kind of learned that it actually means more of this. So that's what I mean when I say like they brought philosophy back more in AC Revelations.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, it is literally a pilgrimage for him, so I suppose that is like
and I want to say this, but I feel like this is literally just talking about Revelations now. But
well,
like
you can't talk about AC1 without talking about Revelations, I think.
I guess. But like I feel like Revelations does have a lot more similarities to AC1 in structure as well. Like it's not too specific, maybe I'm looking too into it, but like the way Ezio goes and assassinates his targets through Constantinople, and like how the more he assassinates, the more he's uncovering about what they want to do. Obviously it's under a different lens because he knows kind of that they're looking for the same thing he is, but I don't know that we'll get to that episode, won't we, once we play Revelations?
Yeah, of course. That is probably the AC game that I've had the biggest gap in between playing.
Really?
Genuinely, I think the last time I played it was the Ezio collection.
I played it, yeah.
Which is a long-ass time ago, so I do need to give Revelations another go. I always had a bias against Revelations. Like I say, I got it in the same disc as AC1.
Yeah. And
for some reason, Revelations just never gelled with me. Like,
really? Revelations
obviously now I know the sort of, it is really well written.
Yeah.
In terms of like the actual Creed philosophy stuff. But I couldn't even get past the fact he was old. Like, really? As a kid. It was something as silly as like,
I liked it. I thought it was cool.
I didn't like the hook blade. I thought it was goofy. I didn't like the fact that again, that he was old. Like, I didn't think a 50-year-old would be able to do the stuff that he does.
I mean, you have
Like,
got
he
to
seems
put
more spry.
you have got to put a layer of disbelief onto it, haven't you? Like, what do they say? You've got to let the disbelief thing. What's the thing they say? You know what I mean?
I've totally blanked on it as well, but I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Suspend your
that's
disbelief.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, really, a 50-year-old could do it, but I don't know, something funny about it. I don't know.
Oh, man.
I always thought that the theming of, like, everything being black, like the Animus is black, Ezio's robes are now black, Desmond's hoodie is black. I just thought, like, I get it. You're beating me over the head with this. This is the dark entry. This is the edgy. This is where, like, shit's going down.
Yeah,
when
well,
really,
I fell for
it's
it.
the complete
I loved it.
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's like how I felt back then as a kid. Whereas now, like, it's a game that is a very slow, sort of methodical look at what they'd been doing, and like a chance to breathe before everything changed, which I see now, and that's what I appreciate the most about Revelations, and especially revisiting Altair. I think it did wonders for his, like, character and just his influence, and the scenes really do make AC1 feel more important and make it feel like integrated more with what came after.
Yeah.
Although AC2 admittedly also did a really good job with that, but I think Revelations, it took it to a different level. It made Ezio and Altair not just feel like two different assassins that you play as, it made them feel like one connected story.
Yes, agreed.
Which is pretty
Desmond
crazy
as
like,
well, obviously.
Oh, of course, yeah, all leading to Mr. Miles.
Yeah.
I just love the way Vidic says that.
The only thing the Revelations parts of AC1, of Altair's story in Revelations did actually completely wrong. I don't know why they did this. Was one of the why are we talking? This is the Revelations episode. I don't know what we're doing.
It's fine.
I guess if it's a brief mention, it's fine. But
it's a detour. It's been 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's like the first one where I don't know if you remember, but the assassination. Where you have,
how could I betray those I never truly loved?
Yeah. Altair with the Templar with the helmet. It's like, that is set before Assassin's Creed 1, but he's acting like he completely understands the creed and he's being respectful and this and that, and it doesn't make sense for his character, because it's like, how could he go from being like he is at the end of AC1 before Assassin's Creed 1, and then somehow quickly before the beginning of AC1 he starts being a dick, and do you know what I mean? Like, that's
it. He's too nice. Al-Mualim is acting like a kind father to him, which is weird. That's not like the characterization I was getting from that.
Yeah, and he's showing humility to his target and stuff, whereas he wouldn't, because in the beginning of AC1, he assassinates an innocent man, So it's like, do you remember that? I don't remember how it goes in that scene in Revelations, but he says, like, why did you do something? I don't know if he spares him or he does something. He does, why did you humor him? Or I don't know. And then Altair goes,
like, why did you listen to him?
And Altair goes, and he says something, and then Altair goes, but why? And he goes, well, as was his right. And I'm just thinking, what do you mean as was his right? In AC1, you kill innocent people, and you do not understand the
I didn't think of it as severely as that, but I guess it is really quite a shift.
When we replay it for our Podyssey app on that, you'll see what I mean. But the rest of it's fine. It's just, they should have just set it after AC1 in that moment. I don't know why they set it before.
I think they wanted to have a conversation between Al-Mualim and Altair.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's like the goal of that scene, is that they wanted to.
But then
he talks about his father, and you get like Al-Mualim took him in,
you should have had him not listen to the target, kill the target, with no remorse, and then it would have fit his character more at the time.
I think, like, if I was going to rewrite that scene, I would have had him disregard the target, and Al-Mualim actually does the opposite, like, asks him, why didn't you humor him? Why didn't you give him the time of day?
Said,
he's a man like any other. And, he could have gone some dickhead response of, like, he's not a man. He was just an animal. Or whatever, with that voice acting. And then I can just picture Al-Mualim giving a really, like, like a really evil, like, smile, like, I'm shaping you up to be quite a nasty piece of work, and he's, like, happy about it.
Yeah.
Like, yes, listen to me, my drone.
Yeah. Well, but that being said, though, who we don't even know if he was convoluting. Well, they say not convoluting, colluding with the Templar targets at that point, do we? He might have been a bit more assassiny.
When I don't know when that scene's actually set. I think it is a couple of years beforehand, so there is a chance that maybe Al-Mualim was like a nice guy before.
Yeah,
I never got that
don't know.
impression though. I don't know. Personally, I always thought he was like always like that. I
Yeah,
don't know, but
maybe.
maybe the apple corrupted him. I guess
I mean, the
later
apple
lore
definitely
would have you
corrupts
think
him,
that.
I don't know. Anyway, let's bring it back to
But
AC1.
Well, even just talking about AC, like just in terms of the apple, I always thought it was like just it wasn't literally corrupting people. It was just like its existence made people think differently, just philosophically, and not like the apple made Al-Mualim evil.
No, yeah.
It's like, no, I think he was always an evil guy, and this just gave him the opportunity to try and get what he wanted.
I guess it's almost a bit like you know when they say like, oh, when you're drunk your true self comes out, you know.
Yeah.
So like you see these clips online of like just massive like a drunk being really racist, and then they're like, oh, it was just because I was really drunk, and it's like, no, well, when I get drunk I don't start saying slurs. I wouldn't even think to do that. Maybe it's a similar thing.
True.
Maybe it's a similar thing. Like I'm going on your point. Like it's not that it corrupts you, but it's more it leads you it draws out of you the more of who you are deep down. Like it draws out more badness out of you. I don't know, maybe it's like the One Ring from Lord of the Rings, right? I don't know.
Oh, I hope it's not like that.
Well, that actually does corrupt you, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, but
I
I kind of hope that
I think
it's just an idea.
I think it is something that is too much for the human mind, right? It's like it's too much to fathom. It's too our human mind, because it was created by the ones who came before, who were intellectually more superior. You know, they created humans to be lesser than, to treat them, to use them as slaves and stuff, right? So maybe the human mind, obviously, aside from people with high Easter DNA counts, such as I assume Altair had a high Easter count. I don't know if that was actually touched upon, but like Desmond, Ezio, etc. You know, apart from the outliers, maybe someone like Al-Mualim using the apple is of course going to get quote unquote corrupted by it, because it's just such immense technology that just the human mind
You just can't
is of course going to lead to do crazy bad things to it, or see things slightly differently, or whatever, because it just is, I can't think of the right word, but it is just too immense for their mind to fathom, so they end up going down the wrong path, maybe? Spoilers, guys. We just went for the bathroom. My zip on my hoodie is now zipped up, so it was a slight wardrobe alteration, but we're back.
Damn, continuity. We can't hide that cut now.
No. Well, we could throw no. Anyway, so I guess we'll round off our story segment before we get to gameplay, and I think you brought up to me a good way to do that was to talk about the end outside of the Animus, and something very specific Desmond sees.
Yeah, so we've spoke about Al-Mualim and the apple. Obviously, Altair, surprise, does successfully kill Al-Mualim and prevent total control of the world. Just a casual Friday. And then we cut back to Desmond, who is about to be executed by Abstergo. We overhear a call with what's his name? Alan Riken?
It's not a call. Alan Riken is there. Do you remember?
Oh, he's there.
He's in the other room. He's in the other room. Yeah.
Oh, that's me misremembering. But of course, Alan. Is it Riken? Because in
Riken.
the movie they say Riken, but is it?
Oh, I mean.
Okay, so Alan Riken.
He's a fat guy in the game. He's bald.
Yeah,
he's a bald fat guy with a goatee.
And then he magically transforms into Jeremy Irons for the movie.
Yeah.
Pretty cool continuity that he does actually make an appearance in the movie. You know, it's a little decent nod. It feels like an Easter egg now, even though it's like years before like the movie came out. But yeah, just thought I'd mention there that he does make an appearance and then later appears in the Assassin's Creed movie. So the clock is ticking. Desmond is going to be killed very shortly. Obviously, we know that Lucy exists as an assassin who may help him. Who knows? I don't know. Certainly not me.
I mean, she stops him from being killed when talking to Rick, and she says, "Hold up."
Oh yeah, like give him a few more weeks.
Because
Or something.
they say yeah, he'll be deleted or exterminated, whatever, and then they are disposed of. And then she goes, "Wait, but we don't want any further complications when accessing these new sites that we've just discovered through Altair's memories. You know, there's that whole world map that comes out of the apple." You know, she's like, "Well, when we go to try and recover these artifacts across the world, we may need him again. So why don't we keep him around?" And they say, "Yeah, actually, yeah, fair enough. Let's do it."
Keep him around so he can play Bloodlines.
Is it him doing that?
Well, I'm just saying. So I started playing Bloodlines yesterday, and it says "Hello, Subject 17" at the beginning.
Does it?
Yeah, so it is actually canonically Desmond experiencing that.
When did he do that?
I'm
Why?
guessing it's... I don't know, but it's set after the main game, so I can only presume it's in between AC1 and 2.
Like, do you think he's...
It has to be.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it's like... Vidic's like, "We might as well make use of you. Get back in there, see what else you can learn," or something. Or
I think so. He must have just been like, "Well, Mr. Miles, we have a few more weeks. Want to play a shitty PSP game?
Want to play a game?"
It must be, because it is canon. Bloodlines is canon due to the...
Yeah.
It gets a mention in Revelations, so it did happen. But yeah, anyway, the big thing here is that Desmond finally gets eagle vision at the end of the game. He starts to see... I don't know what their actual explanation for what eagle vision is, to be honest.
Juno references it in Brotherhood, doesn't she? She says, like, we have a extra sense, right? We can perceive things differently and stuff. It's more just like you can see, you can hear, you can smell, you can taste, and you can have eagle vision.
Eagle.
Don't know why it's called eagle vision, but you can see things.
That can't be the proper name.
No, you can see the world in a different level. Like, you can perceive things more. It's like people who have higher Isu DNA count, right? They can perceive the world more like the Isu could. Yeah.
It's also a gameplay feature. So
well, of course, eagle vision, Animus Pulse,
but. The Animus Pulse. I was thinking of like the literal eagle in Origins. But yeah, and then you see that through eagle vision, Desmond has been sort of left a little message from the previous subject. Subject 16 has gotten his paint out. He's got his little painting kit, and he's painted all over the walls and the floors, everything.
Yeah,
these mysterious symbols.
It was an arts and crafts day at Abstergo.
Yeah, I was going to say written in blood, but then they're not visible.
It is in blood,
normally.
though, isn't it?
It is, but like when you turn off eagle vision, obviously it's not there. Is it just like the remnants of it? Like what was there?
I don't.
Did they give it a scrub after, and you can just see what was there?
To be fair, that actually makes sense. I feel like Abstergo would have scrubbed it off straight away.
Oh yeah, it can't be literal. Yeah. Well, anyway, so there's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of symbols, a lot of words, and it obviously ends the game on such a massive mystery where the internet, I know because I've followed the theories as like an 8-year-old or whatever, a 10-year-old, watching all these YouTube videos trying to break down what all the symbols meant. Were they hinting at future AC games? Was there an Illuminati conspiracy going on and the games were trying to bring awareness to that in the real world?
Oh god.
Do you ever see any videos like that with Obama and stuff?
No, I didn't, but you have told me about this in a past episode, and it was crazy.
I would love to rediscover those. They were proper like Illuminati confirmed, because the Illuminati triangle is one of the symbols. But yeah,
it was a reference to Yobama. Yobama, you know Yobama? I
don't actually know Yobama.
You know Yobama, man. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna send an image into the chat.
Yeah. Please inform me.
Yobama. That was the true conspiracy back then. That was the truth in Assassin's Creed. The Illuminati, Yobama. Here you go.
Oh my god.
I'll put it on screen now. That's Yobama, man. That was the truth. That was what you would find.
That's crazy.
That only Eagle Vision could show you that.
That's 100% Isu DNA.
That guy has Isu DNA for sure.
Wow, that's a really well done Isu.
Yo, Obama.
What did you think of that ending?
I think
when did you see it? Did you see that like after Brotherhood then?
Oh god, I don't remember. I really don't remember.
Because I definitely would have seen it like after 3.
Yeah, it's too long ago for me to remember when I saw that, because I remember I do have a slight memory of playing loads of Assassin's Creed but never really finishing it, but then one day or one playthrough when I was a young boy, who knows how old, I was just playing and I somehow did end up nearly getting to the end, but I don't know if I ever properly finished it until I was a bit older. I really don't know. I couldn't tell you. Too hazy. I couldn't tell you. But I can let you know what I think now if you want.
Yeah, I just want to quickly mention that there is a little Easter egg of sorts in AC3 as well. When you go back to that room, if you use Eagle Vision, you can see all the sim markings.
Oh, that's cool.
That were there.
I don't even remember going back to that same room in 3.
It's one of the rooms where Daniel Cross. It's just before you chase him across like the Animus, like gantry and that.
I don't think I remember it too well.
You're meant to like run out and chase him, but if you just stay in that room, you can see all the stuff from AC1.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. But nah, yeah. I mean, it was cool, right? You know, you see what alludes to where it could go next. It just adds another layer of mystery to this. Like, okay, now due to the bleeding effect, I've gained a very unique skill that my ancestor had. Obviously, I suppose Desmond always would have kind of had Eagle, or whatever the in-law version of name for Eagle Vision is going to be, this extra sense, 7th sense, I suppose.
Yeah, he should have had it, definitely.
Because he has such a high use of DNA count. I think he probably always did. It's just, again, very much paralleling to Altair. He was blind to the truth. He didn't see the world in the full extent that he could have, or he would do later. And I think experiencing Altair's memories and learning so much about the Assassins and Templars, as well as, I guess, more about the truth of the world, if you want to call it that, probably tapped into that ability for him to be able to then use that extra sense. I think if he had had this experience at any age of life, he would have got it around then. It's just he had to be open to that sense, right? Which being through the Animus sort of triggered.
I think that makes sense.
I think it does a lot for his character, right? In the last few moments, you know, it really shows his evolution as well. You know,
it connects them more than it literally connects him with Altair.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, obviously we haven't talked about too much this episode, but you know, after every memory block, which would later be called sequences from AC2, but after every like basically big part of the game, every 3 targets, Desmond comes out of the Animus. We get more exposition between him and Vidic and Lucy, you know, piecing more things together that, Abstergo are actually the Templars, and you know, this is what their plans might be, why they want to find, you know, more of these artifacts, what are they looking for. But also we do see, you know, we see Desmond learning more, piecing more things together, asking more questions, just like Altair does. And again, I think going back to the end, when Altair sees this mysterious stuff on the wall, it does parallel the ending for Altair as well, because Altair goes through all this stuff, and then right at the end, he sees a projection from the Apple of Eden, you know, this whole map, this mysterious thing, and he's like, what the hell? Desmond comes out the Animus, you know, goes into his room, sees this mysterious thing with this mysterious message, and he's like, what the hell? It's a very much parallels revelation, if you want to call it. So I like it. I think it's cool. And obviously, you know, I don't know how much they were planning at the time to tie that into a sequel. I'm not quite sure. But it does tie in, you know, in retrospect nicely to AC2, and then learning more about Subject 16 with the truth. And then obviously we get a very silhouetted cutscene of him in Brotherhood if you finish certain side activities, which I can't remember what you have to do.
I think it's the truth.
Is it more of the truth?
Version of the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when they reference the sun.
That's it.
But yeah, some of the some of the markings on the floor, I'm just looking at the pictures of them now. You have references to like Mount Fuji, which should have been in shadows. You've got like a Mayan Egyptian architecture. You've got the date with a barcode, like December 21st, 2012.
Yes,
is written on the floor. You've got the apple being sent into space. Is actually alluded to heavily because there's an apple on top of a pyramid. Also, there's a square of just straight up words, and if you read it backwards, it says, "Artifacts sent to the skies to control all nations, to make us obey a hidden crusade. Do not help them." There you go. So there is a literal nod to what the Templars were planning with sending the apple into space to control people. So a lot of foreshadowing there.
True, and there's a lot of foreshadowing in the emails you read for like Vidic's computer as well that allude to the same thing. You know, they say like there was one email where it's I think it's actually a news like email that could go out to anyone or something, but it's like we know that there's been disruptions in weather patterns. It's a little bit weird, like what's going on. Crazy storms happening across the world, and you know, the equator's going a bit weird and stuff like that. So you do think like, well, what's going on? Something a little bit weird there. Obviously, you know, we later also find out that's more to do with the solar flare that will come from the sun. So like, obviously the magnetic field's getting a bit unstable, you know, even back during AC1's time, you know, with that.
Yeah, it shows that storyline was like meant to happen, I guess. I know there is a lot of like speculation, and obviously there were a lot of behind the scenes changes with like Assassin's Creed 2, I want to say, is when it all sort of went down and like the whole direction of the story changed. But even in AC1 there's evidence that like it was still going to go in the direction that we got, just
in a
maybe
roundabout
a bit more
way.
Like, just in a different way, but it still works. Like all the foreshadowing in AC1 still gets a payoff later. Like every single thing gets paid off, so it's not like it's, you know, there's still a lot of things on there that are like unanswered questions, but we even get like references to Greece, Egypt, you know, games that we would later see in some sense, even if it's probably not what they were planning.
Yeah, no, I feel like Ubisoft now are just checking every place off the list they can, and some of them happen to be what were mentioned.
We haven't had that Mayan one yet, so that's probably on the way.
Yeah, that's on the way.
Or I guess maybe Black Flag kind of has those areas.
Yeah, the Mayan ruins, don't they? With the puzzles.
They really did think of it all, that Ubisoft. But yeah, should we transition now into gameplay?
Let's do it. Yeah, can we start by me asking you a question?
Oh,
on, then. Okay, so a lot of people, like most people in the AC community, if not pretty much all of them, say AC1 is a repetitive game, you know, in its structure, you know, going from investigation to investigation, you assassinate your target and then rinse and repeat. Would you call this game a repetitive game? There's no right or wrong answer here.
I mean, you could say that about any video game.
Well, you could.
Any video game is sort of repeating the same thing over and over. I get what you mean, though. Like, it is objectively structured like the same thing 6 times or 7 times before you get to the end. The difference is, though, the reason I'm hesitant to say it's repetitive is because the story, the world, the characters is always evolving as you complete the repetition of like the sequences. So I couldn't say that it's like, I mean, it's a repetitive structure. Yeah, I think I'm on both sides. I think like just looking at it from purely a gameplay point of view, it is repetitive. Personally, for me, I don't get bored with it though. Like, I do enjoy what you do. You know, you get, every time you finish a target, you go to a next city, you get back in there and you're like, right, what we got to do next? Right, I know what I'm doing. I got to climb a tower, I got to synchronize, like then I can see my next investigations and I go around and do. I like that aspect of things, but I
I do sympathize with people that get bored with that after the first few times and think, there should be more variety. I get that. But on the other side of things, it works narratively. I think if you were to go around doing loads of other things, it wouldn't work narratively for the story of AC1 and, Altair's journey. That is the point of it, Now, I don't think a game should ever strive to feel boring or to feel monotonous, because that technically is bad game design. However, I do think there are aspects of AC1 that are deliberately meant to make the player feel like it is tedious, it is monotonous, because it wants the player to feel how Altair is going to feel. Altair very much feels, at least at the beginning, the first 3, targets where he has to then go and investigate, do all these investigations that he didn't have to do before. He's going to feel that monotony. He's going to feel like, why am I wasting my time doing this? He literally says that. Like, why would I do this when you can just tell me where my target is? So I feel like it's a way to put the player in the shoes of Altair, make him feel that monotony. And that's why a lot of the game can feel repetitive. In my opinion, I think it is a deliberate thing. I just think I can see both sides of it,
Yeah.
It's like a rinse and repeat,
I feel like because my comparison would be like, look at a Hitman game. Especially those modern Hitman games where you're just doing the same map over and over with different methods and strategies and stuff. Again, like what you said, I don't hate it. Like it's fine because it's still quite short, and also it is like you're doing mini games. Basically, you go to a city, you complete a few mini games, and then you get the big assassination, and it is really as quick as that. And you do get a good, satisfying payoff with each of those assassination missions being really different set pieces. They're very cinematic. They have like fully, motion capture cutscenes and stuff like that in game. I don't know if it's actually mocap, but you know what I mean. Like they're actually moving. They're actually doing stuff, and I think that's what gives you a lot of payoff. Where like you have to complete the busy work in order to again learn more about your target. I do have a bit of a issue, and I think it is just a case of like the times really that the game was made, where like the mini games that you do might be fun, and I will come back to that because they are fun, but there is a bit of a disconnect between what you're doing and what you're learning. Eavesdropping on a bench and learning information, I get that. Pickpocketing off someone, I get that. But going around collecting flags in order to impress your assassin friend who's going to give you some information, that's where I feel it's, or like assassinate so many targets. I feel like there's just a little disconnect between.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll complete a mini game and I'm not really paying attention to what I've learned. Whereas if I'm eavesdropping on someone, you have to listen to the dialogues. You do quickly get across what's going on. And I wish that the things you learned actually did have a bigger effect on that final mission. I can see like a modern, let's say Assassin's Creed continued with that formula in every game. I can see a modern Assassin's Creed game having like, a bit like there is actually one in Claws of Awaji where if you poison all of the food that the guards are stealing, it means they will fall asleep, and in the final mission they're not going to be there. There's going to be less guards. Like they don't call for reinforcements. So I can see that being a thing where like if Altair learned there are bowmen on the roof, he now like wouldn't go on the roof sort of thing. Or like I don't know, there's probably better examples. Like if he knew there was a secret tunnel, he would then go through the secret tunnel. And that's kind of what we got with the black box missions. Like I can see how AC1 led to the idea of the black box missions. But for this game, there is a little bit of a disconnect. But I think that the big difference between like the repetition of tasks and say Valhalla, where Valhalla is the same structure, it's repeating arcs until you get the big finale at the end. But with Valhalla, a lot of it is sitting through cutscenes and following people and watching people. Whereas AC1, I feel like you are, as the player, like participating more.
Yeah.
You're actually doing everything, and also it's so much shorter. Like an arc in Valhalla is probably about 3 to 4 hours, whereas in AC1, I would say you can get each target done in like an hour. I would say an hour per target, and it doesn't feel like it's taking long, and you're participating in every step of it. Like you're as the actual character, you get to play the game. Whereas I feel like a lot of Valhalla was just listening to people talk and then occasionally fighting.
Yeah.
There's just more variety. I think, the director's cut as well. I did want to mention the PC director's cut of AC1 adds like 6 or 7 new mini games.
Well, yeah, it adds all the Informer missions, doesn't it?
Yeah, it adds so many more that were for some reason like not in the original release. Do
you think people? I was just going to say, do you think it's because people complained that that was not enough variety?
Absolutely. I absolutely.
So they were like, we'll collect flags, we'll go around assassinating guards, who have harassed this assassin and his wife or something. And I'm too scared.
I can't remember what they actually added. I can't remember the exact.
It was all of the Informer missions, I believe. It was just all because you can tell that it was added later because they didn't get Altair's voice actor to come back, so they just talk at Altair and he doesn't say anything.
Really?
Yeah, he'll say like, Altair.
That.
He'll go, Altair, if you really are, changing like you say you are, then you will go around and help me. I've been harassed by a group of men. Me and my wife need to leave the city. Get them for me and I'll tell you what I know. And then it goes into it. Altair says nothing.
I've got the differences here. So director's cut adds 4 types of challenges. So we've got archer stealth assassinations, escort missions, merchant stand destruction. That's a fantastic one. I don't think I've ever had that one. Just destroying merchant stands.
Doesn't that just mean like you can now throw people into them and they collapse, or like what does that mean?
No, that's an actual. I guess it's like within the time limit, destroy so many.
I did them all. I legit did them all. I never saw any of that.
Oh,
I swear.
Did you do it on PC?
Did it on Series X, but I had all the Informer missions.
Oh, well, the director's cut was PC only.
Oh, right. Well, I guess
so
not
there might
then.
Be a difference there.
Yeah.
I've got it on PC and I've done some of these. I recognize like the archer assassination one. That's pretty difficult.
Okay.
And the rooftop race as well. They added races.
Okay. See, I didn't even.
You
know
can
that.
even just tell when you're looking around. There's so many more like things to do, and you still only have to do like 3 of them to actually get.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing worth mentioning. Like even though there's so many of these little side quests you can do, you only have to do like a maximum of 3 or 4.
You do
by the end of the game.
But it's up. If you want to do more, you can, and by doing more, you do learn more about your target.
Oh yeah, you get more information.
You get letters you can read. You get.
Does that actually lead to anything?
So if you read the letter, let's say you have done 3 investigations, but there's a 4th you could do if you wanted, but it's optional. But it's a pickpocketing mission, and when you get that mission, it adds a letter. It gives you a letter, and you can read it. It usually just adds more background to the character, the target you're assassinating, so you understand their motives more. It's more of a story thing. But sometimes you'll get like a map where the archers are going to be on the roof, and if you do keep that in mind, you can avoid them, so it does add stuff like that.
That would make sense.
You'll have like red dots on a map in your memory log that you've learnt from pickpocketing or hearing about where they're going to be, and it will sometimes also give you a little indication of like a bit of scaffolding on the back of the building that you can climb to get to your target easier. So it is worth it.
See, that's good. Yeah, that does sound good. I wish they expanded on that more. I feel like that's kind of what I wanted from Mirage even, was like, let's do a few missions where you get to know your targets in terms of just like scoping out the area, and like let's turn the black box missions into the entire format of like the game, I guess, but without like making it as linear as that.
Yeah.
You should be learning more about your targets and making changes and stuff to make it easier for you.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I think it was a good starting point though with AC1 with that stuff. And again, it being optional, where I think mostly like with the whole letters you can read that do expand upon things. It's also in the letters that you can completely miss that have the first ever mention of "May the Father of Understanding guide us."
Really?
Yeah, I
didn't know that.
Yeah. There's
Wow.
like a few letters where it will say like, we've got man stationed here, blah blah blah, and then at the end it will say like, and it will talk about the target more, as if it's a Templars, right? Colluding with each other, and then it will be signed off, "May the Father of Understanding guide you," or something like that.
I remembered like they would lead to Altair having more dialogue when he got back to the Bureau.
Yeah.
He would like actually say the things that he's learned, which is cool. Like that was a nice reminder for me. Like, oh, now I know these people are on the roof or whatever, that sort of stuff. And I guess they must have, because the series didn't really revisit that till Unity. So for Unity, they must have gone back and been like, we had something here. Let's go back to it, because it's really just like linear sort of cinematic, late 2000s kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
From AC2 to AC4 or even Rogue. So it is interesting that they went back to that formula, and I think it is like one of the better decisions. The black box missions is a reason they're so popular.
Yeah.
And that people are so excited when they come back. And that is probably, that's down to AC1 really.
Yeah.
It was there. The idea was there.
Definitely. Now, let me ask you, we touched upon this earlier, the puppeteering mechanic. Do you like it? Do you think it's good or bad?
I think it's a good idea. Obviously, in terms of parkour, it makes it so much more fun. I think accidentally even. Like, I don't think they realized how great the parkour actually was when they were making it.
Somebody made it, and surely they had it in mind. Like, this gives you control. This allows you to, have agency over your movement, and you know what I mean? Because the world was built around that too. It
was, but I remember a lot of people saying AC1 felt like a demo.
That's like in retrospect, though, for the whole series.
Yeah, of course.
I don't agree with that. No, yeah.
I don't agree with that, but I do see like, oh, this system feels like really way advanced for what's actually for the rest of the game. Like, whoever came up with that system, it feels really far ahead. But then there's things like the head, for example. You press Y and you go into a first-person eagle vision mode where you can't look around, and it's like, okay, this feels a bit dated. Like, some elements of this don't work. Or, like, I guess the armed hand, empty hand, like, I kind of get what they're going for there. And it works. Don't get us wrong, it does totally work. But I don't think they could have, like, evolved much on what they had, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, how do you think in today's world, like, that could have translated across?
I mean, I love the puppeteering mechanic, the high and low profile stuff. I think it's it's one of the things that's sorely missing in the series now. I think I still think it holds
I must say,
up.
like, I think the difference between high and low profile, I think that's like a separate thing for me. Like, that absolutely, there needs to be a clear distinction between high and low profile, which I don't think the series hasn't had.
But the puppeteering mechanic as well, like, just in of itself, like the way the button layout works, holding trigger to run, blend social stealth with A, gentle push, all that. I think, because you've got to look at it in the terms of what that game is and what it's doing, and it fits so perfectly within, narratively it works. You're in the Animus. It's a way to try to accurately represent how it kind of is staying in sync with your ancestor, and you are, like, think about it like this.
You are quite literally puppeting them,
yeah, and think about it like this, like, when you're riding on a horse in AC1... No, listen.
Oh, right. Sorry, I thought that was going to be
What did you think?
I thought you were going to say, like, shadows.
Oh, no. In AC1, all right, when you're riding a horse in AC1, and you're already holding trigger, but then you hold A to like sprint on your horse, there's a slight delay, because what holding A actually does is it actually gets Altair to flick the reins, not to make the horse run, and then the horse runs fast. It was made very deliberately to try and reflect the way Desmond is in the body, or at least, feeling like he is in the body of Altair in the Animus, not in the body of like the horse. So then they try and reflect that in the gameplay.
That's a really cool little thing. Yeah, I never thought about that.
Yeah, so I love it.
I'm gonna have to replay that and just pick.
Yeah, it just feels like the whole puppeteering mechanic just feels very like artful to me, and I really love that. Obviously there's the nostalgia part of it where I like the old ones because when I was younger, but like even today, I just think for what Assassin's Creed is, or at least it was around this time, I just think it works so well with the whole element of staying in sync. The whole HUD and UI and everything is Animus themed, and I just think the puppeteering, if you have all the visuals reflect this, why not have the controls reflect it as well? I think it's immersive.
Yeah, I mean, I love the HUD, like for AC1, and the Animus having like the helixes and little glitches and stuff, and the way it's like a simulation, like it's cloudy. The actual like visual style of that is still my favorite look for the Animus.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking as well, we never even touched on like the music.
Oh,
I mean, the music in AC1 is just tremendous.
It's very good.
The main theme, I feel like every game after that kind of became very like orchestral. Whereas in AC1, everything sounds like creepy and
somber,
distorted, and and like you feel like you're actually in a machine. Like the sound design and everything does such a good job of making you feel like something's off. Like you're in the Third Crusade, but you're not quite. Like you'll hear like a little bit of synth or a little bit of off music where it's like, oh, that was off key or something like that. That purposefully. It's not real. Like it doesn't feel real, and there's something so weird. And I love the main. What's it called? I think it's called "Access the Animus" is the name of the track. The one where it's like the chase music.
Oh yeah,
that is hands down.
Yeah,
it's like a 10-minute long song that has like you can visualize it when you listen to it. You can hear the like getting caught, running away, hiding.
Isn't it?
Then you get caught again, and it explodes again.
Is that the?
Yes,
that one. Yeah.
It has so much. It's a really long track. I'm sure it's like 10 minutes long.
Yeah,
and it has so many levels to it. And I wish we'd get like a remix of that, like in modern AC or something. Like, why are we calling back to Ezio's Family all the time? Like, that chase music was just. Oh, it was incredible.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, the music
actually gets your blood pumping on like a lot of the music that came after, I think.
For sure. I felt that mostly in this playthrough with the first target with was it Tamir?
Tamir, yeah.
No, not Tamir. I take it back. With the slaver dude. I can't remember his name. That's it. When he runs, he's an archer, so he's running so he can get distance.
Oh yeah, he runs
because he wants distance,
like,
so he can shoot
rooftops.
You. And that music kicks in for like it's the first assassination, so it kicks in for the first time, and then it just kicks in. It's like, it feels so sick.
I love that whole set piece where like they catch you and like you have to beat all of his men, then go up onto the roof and chase after him. Again, let me add to that with the investigations, the optional ones where you can read the letters. There is a letter you can optionally read that you might miss that explains that target will try to get distance from you. Well, not from you specifically, but it will say like, Talal always makes sure there's distance between him and his target because he's a skilled archer, so he will try to get distance to shoot you. So you can learn that beforehand. So then when he runs, it makes sense. Yeah, so you wouldn't even know that he's an archer beforehand if you didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly. It's all there if you want to find it. I'm just thinking, can we move on to our last bit? Just because I will have to go soon, and I don't want to end up rushing.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to talk about like modern AC. I don't think.
Well, I mean, we kind of already have through the episode, haven't we? We've kind of compared it when it calls for it.
I feel like we could just we could wrap it up if you want.
Yeah, let's just do an overall...
Is there any more gameplay stuff you wanted to talk about? Or is
not really, because it is just that, really, isn't it?
Much more, is it?
I mean, there's combat, but combat is, again, it's tied in with
sucks.
Well,
sorry, it's got... The animations are great. I love the hidden blade can just like one-shot people if you time it correctly.
If you time it right. I always use the hidden blade. for
Oh, I
countering.
do now, yeah, but I didn't know that for the longest time, like literally years. I didn't know because he
Yeah.
swapped straight to his sword. I miss the long knife.
Does.
I wish that would feature
Oh,
on
like
his
the
outfit
dagger,
just
yeah.
once. Yeah, I used to use that all the time.
Dagger's
and
cool,
every
yeah.
time they bring back his outfit, they either just put the sheath for it or they just don't put it there at all.
Yeah.
Justice for the long knife. I want
Bruh.
It doesn't look complete. Like his outfit looks empty on his back without the knife there.
Yeah.
So I'm fuming and I want it back.
All right, fair
It's not
enough.
in Bloodlines either. Like, is Bloodlines what they're using as a reference point
No.
or something?
Surely not.
It better not be. I don't.
No,
Anyway.
Ubisoft have forgotten all about Bloodlines. Let's be real. They didn't even make it. They
Don't
just
blame
published
them,
it.
to be honest.
Nah, Bloodlines is
Yeah.
good, bro. Bloodlines, I FW Bloodlines, man.
Is it properly good? I like
Honestly,
played it for a video.
the
but
gameplay
I played
is-
like the first 20 minutes.
The gameplay is something to be desired, but the story
I'm
is
not gonna
genuinely
lie.
good. The story is genuinely good. Like, if you actually go through the story, you get like a good bit of that like Darby wrote it, you know? Did he? Yeah, Darby wrote it.
Yeah, he did, didn't
He always understood ACE from the first time, which was Bloodlines. Like, it does more of AC1. It really does. It delves into.
I was
his-
surprised how similar the controls were. Man.
Yeah.
The controls are like exactly the same. You can side and back eject.
I know.
Like what? I didn't know this, and then I'm suddenly like back ejecting and side ejecting. I'm like, what the fuck?
Literally,
You could actually like
literally.
do something here.
Yeah, no, literally, like, and like with the story, like Bloodlines is mostly just like Altair's ruminations on having the apple now and like what it's shown him and how he sees things, and like it ties in really well with like what ends up being in the Codex and like how he changes, evolves the Creed to be more to geared towards freedom rather than just a blanket, description of peace.
Yeah.
It's a good game. Like, if you can get past the PS1 to 2 looking graphics and like the really clunky stuff, like I recommend. I don't know if you did it for your video or not, but you can with the emulators, PSP emulators on PC, you can connect your Xbox controller and you can remap the weird camera movements to your actual right thumbstick. So it works as a normal camera.
I was using my controller, but I left the camera. I say in the video, I'm like, I have to do it as it was originally intended.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you can just tap the left bumper and it'll re-center you anyway.
Yeah.
So I just kept pressing that and it kind of just kept me on track.
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, if you do want to play it like as an actual Assassin's Creed game to like learn the story, then I recommend changing the camera to to the thumbstick.
I liked it's funny because you were saying earlier about Ezio like writing the letters to Claudia, and there's that bit where Altair is on the way to Cyprus.
Yeah,
and he's like writing a letter.
Well,
and
he
I was
does
like,
that through
this
the
feels
game.
like that.
He does that through the game. Like,
Oh, does he? Does
yeah,
he?
yeah. At the end of each memory block, I believe he's writing in his, which obviously.
See, that's a cool little callback. Like Darby
Yeah.
obviously must have kept that going.
Yeah, and am I right in thinking he's right? Is he writing the Codex or is he just writing in a journal?
Oh, I don't know actually. I never thought of that.
Yeah, that's
He might be.
and that
he
makes
might
it
be,
even
actually.
cooler because you're seeing him, or at least whatever he's writing will later go into the Codex. So it's like it's pretty cool
Yeah.
stuff.
I keep forgetting you can actually read all of the Codex pages.
I know. It's cool
That's probably a video in itself, just reading everything.
for sure.
Um,
But should we wrap it up? Because I gotta go.
Let's wrap it up. What do you think of the first Assassin's Creed?
I think
Do
it's
you like it?
fucking sick, mate. I think it's a
You
great
like
game.
it? It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. I would play it. I'll play it every now and then. I play all the AC games like once a year, or at least all the good AC games.
Yeah.
But what I am really looking forward to is play the next ones in order now for our Podyssey episodes. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah. We got AC2 next.
Yeah, man.
Not that that'll be the next episode. We'll obviously just when we get to our next retrospective, that will be Assassin's Creed 2, which I think we'll have a very interesting discussion on because I
for
feel like I think we differ a lot on that game. To be honest.
I mean,
that'd be interesting.
I'm so in the AC rabbit hole now with playing these games. I really want to just go straight onto AC2. So I don't know about you.
Oh,
but-
do you? So that could be quite.
Well,
quite soon, then.
maybe in like maybe a month's time. Maybe we could do it like once a month or something. Like
Yeah, well, even like maybe we could make it a Christmas,
Yeah.
or November maybe.
Yeah, we could figure out. We'll figure out our plan.
Because we've got quite a busy schedule coming up, haven't we? I don't know.
We do. And lastly, Willis Makes Movies / Lewis. Do you like Assassin's Creed 1? What do you think? Is it a good game?
Yeah, I think it's a good comfort game. I think you can go back and play AC1 and just, even if you're like halfway through, just do one of the targets for an hour or something, and I think you'll be happy, you'll be satisfied, and it is just a really well written game. I think can you imagine if Altair just didn't progress the whole way through the game?
Just
and there was, no narrative.
Shadows.
Oh, just another word that starts with sh.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Jeez. It's a great comfort game, yeah, for me. And like I say, I do prefer it to a lot of the entries that came after, really. If I was going to do a tier list, I'd say it's not even in the middle, to be honest. It's pretty far up there.
For sure. It's definitely in my top 3 or 4 AC games for sure.
Oh, really? Yeah, I would say I'd need to have another look at them.
Do you know what I'm going to do?
I'd say top 5, I'd say, pretty comfortably.
Once we've played through all of the AC games, right, for these episodes, I will do
3 years later.
Yeah, I will do a proper good tier list.
Yeah, I would love to do a revisited tier list, but
yeah.
I need to play a lot of the games. Oh God. Do we have to play Odyssey?
Listen,
do we have to?
We can stop whenever we want to stop. There's no rules. The Podyssey doesn't want to do Odyssey, believe it or not.
No.
I do want to. I am curious to when we start getting closer, to Syndicate and stuff though, because Syndicate's hard for me to play. That game pisses me off. So
really?
But I will do it. I will force myself to play the whole thing for the pod.
I played a little bit of Syndicate, just the first opening levels, a few weeks ago, and I was like, it's actually pretty fun. The dialogue's quite funny.
All right,
when I don't think about what they're actually saying, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, we'll get to that one in due course. But
of course,
I really have to go now, so let's wrap it up.
No problem, of course. Well, thank you everybody for watching this episode of the Podyssey. It's retrospective. We will be back in a few weeks' time with a normal episode, back to our usual formula. There could be a guest, there could not be a guest, who knows. We will certainly see, but if you did enjoy this, hit that like button, subscribe for more episodes of the Podyssey. And do we do the normal outro? Do we? I can't remember if we did for the Mirage one.
Why don't we say a famous phrase from AC1 instead?
Oh. Ooh.
Saladin and his infidel army.
Please, just a few coins. Good kind sir, just a few coins, please.
No, you don't understand.
No,
I'm hungry.
I have no food.
Yeah.
Just a few coins. Just trail this out. Just have this fade out.
Do you know who I am?
The student does not overtake the teacher.
Yeah.
Mukbang.
I was gonna do that, but I was like, nah, it's best not to.
No.
No.
Be strong like Salahadin.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot.
Yeah, we do. You do. Or Christopher Colombo. Colombo. Something like that. Please, no, you're hurting me.
Oh, yes, that's it. That's the other one.
I didn't do anything wrong, or something like that.
Yes.
Why are you doing this?
Why are you doing this?
I have nothing in thanks, but I'll make sure my friends know that, or my people know that you are a friend, or something like that. When you save them.
I'm still recording. I don't know if I
can Same. Yeah. All right, guys. We love you. That's it from us. Goodbye.